conversations. From Accra to the world, we bring the fresh stories, fresh energy every morning, full of fire and glory. Rise and shine, come join the line. Your day begins when the voices align. GhanaTalks breakfast show. GhanaTalks breakfast show. Your daily dose, here we go.
This is GhanaTalks breakfast show, your morning companion. This is GhanaTalks breakfast show, your morning companion.
Only on GhanaTalks radio. Turn it up and stay tuned for the
This
that
is
moves
GhanaTalks
you
breakfast
and
show,
keeps
your
your
morning
heart in
companion.
tune. From the traffic to the trends, we got some.
This is GhanaTalks breakfast show, your morning companion. It's a good Friday morning, and you're welcome to the GhanaTalks breakfast show right here on GhanaTalks Radio. Today actually happens to be a holiday. Yes, you know we had a holiday within the week, which was on Wednesday, I think 1st July, which was Republic Day. But you know, kudos to our interior minister, because we have a good interior minister who actually understand that corporate workers, you need a Friday as well. So all holidays have been pushed to, Friday. So if we have a holiday within the week, that means that holiday is going to be on Friday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday is a resting day for all corporate workers. And let me say that, all workers. So right here in Ghana, today is a holiday. We are commemorating Republic Day. And this is the GhanaTalks breakfast show right here on GhanaTalks Radio, and we are bringing you the news review, and we bring you all the relevant stories making waves in the news. We are streaming live on Facebook at GhanaTalks Radio, on YouTube at GhanaTalks Radio, and also on X at GhanaTalks Radio. Do all to log on, send in your comments. Let's get interactive right here on the show. I remain your host, Ruth S. and Nam Fekwedu. And this morning, I'm serving you breakfast with Miss Regina Bless and Miss Tabiadoso. Good morning to you, ladies, and you're welcome to the GhanaTalks breakfast show.
Good morning.
Hope all is well. You slept well. Wake up good. No banter with any mate anywhere. Today day was cool.
Yeah, I do banter with me.
Right, so today is a holiday. Today is a holiday, but we gotta feed our people. Holiday. Is it giving holiday vibes anyways?
I don't really think so.
You don't really think so? Miss Debbie, is it giving holiday vibe? But when you were coming, were people on the road?
Yeah.
People on the road.
Yes.
It didn't look like a holiday.
No, it didn't look like a holiday.
Of course.
So, myself, I was wondering whether there was a holiday. There was someone who said it. I think when I liked it, I was like, really?
I think
like
Miss Regina reminded me yesterday, and this dawned to my mom was like, today is a holiday. I was like, oh yeah, today is a holiday. It's a holiday, but kokoma contempt never anthem. Obeka say, it's a holiday. People are not really struggling for car. Please, a lot of cars have been damaged during the flooding, so the cars in the system are limited. So you have to go early. So make sure that you go early. Don't say that it is holiday. Car but you can't never anthem. Right. So this morning we are here to feed you. Let's get into the news items for this morning. Government to introduce 20% rural posting allowance for teachers. The government has announced plans to introduce a 20% rural posting allowance for teachers who work in rural and deprived communities. Speaking in Parliament, the Minister for Education, Haruna Iddrisu, said the allowance is aimed at attracting, motivating, and retaining teachers in underdeserved or undeserved areas where staffing remains a challenge. According to the Minister, the Ministry of Education, the Ghana Education Service, and the Ministry of Finance are working together to implement the policy. Mr. Haruna also announced that the qualifying period for study leave with pay for teachers serving in rural and deprived communities have been reduced from 3 years to 2 years. This means teachers who voluntarily accept posting to such areas can apply for study leave after completing 2 years of service. The minister further revealed that government is working on the teacher Dabri initiative, a proposal by President John Dramani Mahama to provide accommodation for teachers in rural communities. He explained that the initiative is intended to improve teacher deployment and retention by addressing housing challenges in remote areas. In addition, the government has directed that all newly awarded school infrastructure contracts should include accommodation for teachers. The minister said government will also continue investing in the professional development and capacity building of teachers to improve the quality of education across the country. So I think that is a good news from the Education Ministry. Always says that government is set to increase or introduce a 20% rural posting allowance for teachers. That means that if you happen to be a teacher and you have been posted into the area, into the urban rural areas or the rural areas, deprived areas, the areas that are not really developed, if you happen to be posted there, you are going to get a 20% allowance. And Ms. Debbie, is this set to, motivate and also encourage the teachers to embrace it when they are being posted into the deprived communities or the rural areas?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from my side, I see it as a motivational token for these teachers and also to attract more upcoming graduates who would love to work in the rural areas. And I feel like teachers working in the rural area should be much attention should
be given to them.
Yeah, should be given to them because they go through a lot. Working in the rural areas is not that simple. Sometimes the person stays, let's say, in Anya, and the school is like from this place to say Weja or Makati, and there is nothing. It's not as if you don't even see houses around where when you walk you don't really feel like you are being stressed because you see people around. This is bush. This is a whole forest, and then there is a tiny road between this side and side forest, and then this teacher has to walk all this mile to the school. So imagine in the school they have something like a building or accommodation for these teachers right there in the school. It makes it so easy. And aside that too, things like electricity, potable water, it's kind of difficult. And so most teachers do not want to be posted there because they don't see the rural communities as attractive. So I think with this initiative that was brought forth by the Ministry of Education,
it's yet to be introduced.
It's yet to be introduced, but it's still on the how will I say, in a pipeline. But for me, I see it to be a good one, in as much as it's not a solid solution to making rural schools in rural areas attractive for these teachers. I feel like we should focus more on establishing those communities, building more well-equipped schools where these teachers can go and teach. Because see, sometimes when you get to those schools, it is say class 1 to JHS, and there is only one teacher. And when they post people there for the first time, some people may like to go, but then when they get there and they realize that this is the situation at the ground, they within a twinkle of an eye, they are no longer in that village again. And so when it happens like that, people from that village, natives who by links with other relatives in other urban areas, who by chance find themselves in say Accra or any of the other regions that is well developed, and they've acquired an SHS certificate and they are back into the village. Sometimes most of these students avail themselves to teach this student. But we all know that when it has to do with government schools, even from crèche to JHS, it is taught by training college graduates, not SS leavers. SHS leavers teachers in private schools. But because there are no teachers and no one is willing to teach these students, and so most of them avail themselves. So at the end of the day, they teach them something very small. And you see, sometimes when you go and you see them teaching, you could tell that this person needs more training to teach this student. But because no one is there, they also want to impact. And that is why sometime back, Joy News went to one of this village to do a documentary based on how students struggled in remote areas to
Get to school.
And then there was this teacher that was teaching, I think 1 to 3, and then he jumped, said 3 or said 4. Yes. And the students were also following. Even the person teaching didn't realize it, you see. So a lot of this students are really suffering, and then I feel like with this it will boost the what's the name, the shall I say courage or the morale of this young graduates to teach in rural areas. Because trust me, if somebody graduate today, everybody wants to be in the city, everybody wants to have a life where they feel like everything is glowing. Nobody wants to be in the rural area. So how do you make it attractive? And I feel like maybe that is one of the steps they are bringing on board. Free accommodation, though they are putting it in place, which is the teacher Dabre. They are going to do that, an initiative by the government as well. So I just hope this is not only on paper, it will manifest. When it manifests, it tells the people that you are ready to do something, and also giving their best.
Miss Eugenia, what do you also think?
So I think I'm happy with the rural communities will also be having access to quality education. And one thing I would like the government to do is to I think they are already doing it, is to prioritize the rural education more. I think if they had prioritized the rural education more, there wouldn't have been a need for 20% allowance for these teachers who would be working in such areas. As it stands now, they are already complaining that they are understaffed and they don't have enough money to employ more teachers, but they have the 20% for these teachers. So if they had prioritized it, then I think 20%, it could have done something to elevate the education sector more. But I think aside that, is a very good thing, because if you put me to the rural area and I know that the area I'm going to, it's not suitable to my standard, I would have to find it difficult to even find an accommodation. His doctors, nurses are also very reluctant to go to rural areas when they are posted. So I think they really need to prioritize it so that there wouldn't be a need for, I say, you are bribing the person and sana wakoho.
But as it stands now, it looks like a lot of teachers are failing to go there because it's like an additional financial burden. There's no electricity, and accommodation is also a problem.
Stress.
And the stress, and then all of that. So in a way to compensate you to and motivate you to go there, why don't I introduce something? Because if money is a problem, why not? In as much as we also have to prioritize that we have to send certain teachers to particular schools, this is equally important. When it happens like that, it looks like we are depriving the other communities, the rural communities, from education, because the teachers will not like to go there because it comes with a whole lot of burden and baggage. So why not? If money is the only way we can compensate you to give those students the chance to education as well, why not? I think that is what the government thought is best right to do, right? Let's get into our next news item. Bus fares, rent, and school fees push Ghana's inflation to 5.3% in June. Ghana's annual inflation rate increased to 5.3% in June 2026, up from 3.7% in May, according to the Ghana Statistical Service. Although inflation rose from 1.6% point, it remains much lower than the 13.7% recorded in June 2025, showing that overall price pressures are still lower than they were a year ago. The GSS says the increase was mainly driven by non-food items, particularly transport fares or bus fares, the biggest contributor. House rents, secondary school fees, accommodation services such as hotels. Non-food inflation rose to 6.3%, while food inflation also increased slightly to 3.9%. The report also shows that prices of locally produced goods rose faster than imported goods, making them the biggest contributor to overall inflation. Despite the annual increase, month-on-month inflation slowed to 0.2% in June from 1.1% in May. Median prices continue to rise, but at a slower pace than the previous month. Regionally, the Northeast region recorded the highest inflation rate at 10.2%, while the Bono region recorded the lowest at negative 4.4%, indicating that the average prices fell in that region. Why Northeast region recording the highest inflation rate? Is food not there?
East.
Northeast. Because they are good at growing legumes and beans, yam and that. So I'm a bit surprised as to why they recorded the highest inflation rates. But so far so good. Inflation has rose from 3.7% to 5.3% just only in June, and that has pushed bus fares, rent, and school fees very high. I'm not paying school fees, so I can't tell. Miss Regina.
Okay, so we can speak on the bus fares and rent.
But has buses fare increase?
It hasn't increased, but it's more than said it has increased.
Yeah, that's true.
When? Oh, the day it rained, I went to Accra. People were really struggling to get vehicles, and from what I was hearing, from Accra to Kaswa, 30 cities. Me say, hey, I did offer church is not even up to 15 cities they will do. So it's like they are charging times two of it. And from Accra to Awosh, they are taking 20 cities. And I was like, 20 cities is too much. Sometimes I understand the fact that cars in Niho, but you are charging exorbitant prices. Indeed, it's more than say, they've come out to tell us that, we've increased fares. And day in and day out, everyone is complaining about it. Now that the vehicles, they said about 1,000 vehicles have been destroyed.
Yeah. Then
we should get ready because we'll be paying 50 cedis, 100 cedis as it stands now. And looking at the rent issue also, rent is also becoming unbecoming.
Yeah.
Especially with these landlords. The first period of 1 year, they'll charge you a very nice price. But who say you are feeling comfortable, you are becoming comfortable with the environment, it is to your taste. The next rent price that comes, they'll tell you say they've increased it. When it comes to rent issue is not like a Jana Regia, our boka. Into our boka now, so we be the shame. Nenya usika film. You've already built the house, and I'm sure by now, Sikana would go and what's a work the one remaining is profits coming up. Some of these landlords do not even do any renovations in their homes. Up to now, some people are still using she pet latrine in a compound house. People are still using that, where not only one person, more than 5 people. You are not even thinking about the health of the people there. That place is cracking. The landlord is doing nothing about it, but every either 1 year or 2 years, they are taking money day in and day out, which is bad. So to speak a little on the school fees, school. But from what you've heard from the students, some of them complain, and I feel like the school fees also, it's not only about the school fees, but it also has to do with some of these hostel fees and other petty things they pay. When we look at inflation is not just about the economy either doing well or doing bad. The economy has its own aspect, and it's not only about the Bank of Ghana doing everything in its possible state to make sure that the economy is stabilized. All these petty things contribute to the inflation. The school fees, the bus fares, what have you, even unemployment also attribute to it. So if they are doing their aspect of it, the Bank of Ghana is doing that. Bank of Ghana can't create jobs. They can't say oh, we are decreasing this. No, they can't do that. So the right authorities are the ones supposed to take this on to make sure say everything is regularized. Yeah, regularized.
Standard. Miss Baby.
Yes, the factors mentioned are exactly what is supposed to be on the paper. The rent, the transport fare, the fees, and even food. Because you go to buy food today at the price of say 15 cedis, and then within a week you go to buy that same food, a bowl of rice, and it costs you like 15 to 20 cedis. So you ask yourself, like, what happened? This is what happens. The farmer who cultivates or who plant this rice, the raw materials that these food vendors go to buy to sell, there might be increment in the pesticide, the weedicide, and all the medicines or the needed, shall I say, equipment and the medicines they need to grow this veggies or maybe these crops. So at the end of the day, they'll also put much effort so that they don't run at loss. So if maybe they used to buy a bottle or say a gallon of pesticide at 500 and then it's jumped from 500 to 1,500, you don't expect them to sell a bowl of rice to you at the same price you bought it last year. They'll have to increase it because they don't want to run at loss. And then when it's happening like that, the middle consumer, which is the food vendor who goes to buy this crop, the cultivated rice or yam from this farmers, will also need to increase it, because when she goes to buy that food, the food is being transported. She doesn't carry it all the way from the north of the Volta region to Accra here. It is being transported here. And so the driver will also take part of his money. And the driver will always complain that there is a increment in fuel prices. Even if there is no increment, they will tell you that prices of spare parts are high. If it is not spare parts, they will tell you that the roads are bad. And so even if they go to buy fuel to fill their tank, if they're supposed to use it for 1 month, because the roads are bad and they'll have to be in a queue for a very long time in traffic. And so they'll have to also increase it so that they don't also run. So if you look at the chain, everybody is trying to prevent themselves from running at loss. So everybody is pushing their way in there. And when it happens like that, we will all suffer. And inflation will definitely go high. Because it's a chain. When one person takes a step, it affects everything. So let's say fuel, for example. If Goyo and other fuel stations says they are increasing the prices of fuel, it affects almost everybody.
Everything.
Transport is affected. The food you buy at the market is affected. Your rent is affected. Like, everything is affected. So it's a chain. If it affects one person, or one person takes an initiative and it's not a positive initiative, it affects almost everything. So talking about inflation is a huge one. Rent is one of them. You go to rent and then the landlord will just wake up one day without a formal notice, and then they're telling that they are increasing the fare. They are increasing your rent. And the increment is abysmal. It's something that does not even make sense, but you need to pay. And aside that, you are also paying your utility bills. You are paying lights. You are paying for water, and then transport. As for transport, we are paying more than we are supposed to pay, because anytime it rains, even if it drizzle, these drivers take more than they are supposed to take. When you go to Accra and it's 3, just prepare your 20 cedis or 30 cedis. You know that when it's 3, you're not getting a vehicle, especially when you are heading to Kaswa. And because drivers heading to Kaswa has formalized it, other areas are also picking it up.
Beginning to
yes. when you get to Accra and it's 3 o'clock, I think from Accra to Pokia, say you are paying like 10 cedis or 15 cedis. Whereas it is like on a normal day, it's like 5 cedis or maybe 7 cedis. But you're paying like 15 cedis. So this is something that is very, very worrying, and it causes a problem each and every day. Because everybody is trying to survive. And then when you want to be selfish, it affects almost everybody. So when you're talking about inflation, to tackle it, it will have to do with the chain. We'll have to ensure that things are being done the right way. I think recently, in the previous week, they said there will be an increment in fuel prices on 1st July.
Reduction.
Decrement, right?
Yeah.
Rather, it's like I saw increment before the reduction came in.
And even the reduction itself, it has been increased.
So instead of reduction, there's been an increment.
Because it's as if I saw something like they said they'll increase it. Then all of a sudden they said they are reducing.
Decrease.
Yeah, they are decreasing.
I read decrease. There's going to be a decrease
On the 1st July.
Yeah, despite the Iran and is it river or well of Hormuz or whatever. Strait of Hormuz and all of their issues. They said there's going to be a reduction, and I think they were applauding the government. And just as
this reduction does not reflect.
It's not reflecting. It's not reflecting at all. So that should tell you that the prices of goods and services will start going up very soon. But just as the report has stated, it's going to be at a slower pace.
But in a case where you go to Accra to buy something, and then the next week you go again and actually see a tomb, can you imagine?
It is what it is. Supreme Court dismisses consolidated cases challenging Tokonu's removal. The Supreme Court of Ghana has unanimously dismissed the consolidated cases challenging the removal of former Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu, bringing the domestic legal proceedings on the matter to an end. Bringing the domestic legal proceedings on the matter to an end. That means that all issues pertaining Tokonu right here in our country, we are done with it. It has come to an end. A 7-member panel chaired by Amadou Tanko ruled on Thursday, July 2nd, 2026, that the cases lacked merit and dismissed them. The decision effectively ends attempts in Ghana's court to overturn the removal of former Chief Justice, whose suspension and dismissal in September 2025 generated significant legal and political debates. The cases arose after a prima facie case was established following petitions seeking her removal from office. The legal actions were filed by Vincent Eko Asifua, Kwate, former Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu, the Center for Citizenship, Constitutional and Electoral Systems. The Supreme Court later consolidated the separate suit into 2 cases before delivering its final judgment. So, as the Supreme Court has stated, that all domestic legal matters relating to Tokonu has come to an end. Miss Regina, your thoughts on this, please?
So when I saw it, I was happy. Finally, she can rest. Finally, she doesn't have any legal battle, so she should rest. No, if I say forever and ever, it's like I've killed her. But she should go home and rest. She's an adult, and at this stage, you don't need to stress yourself.
She's actually fighting for her reputation.
Which reputation? Today I saw an interview with A+, where he was saying that a minister who steals and a minister who insults, which one do the people want? They should choose one. Say omo minister didi atemana so omo minister kwa abema obewiwi omusikedi. And what will you go for? You go for the minister that insults. Now the
come and abuse us.
No, with what he's saying is, excuse me to say, what didn't kwasi asema? Oh no.
Right,
I see until say John Dumelo, however, beji now ha crocro, no obedi watem. So it just had to do with those building in waterways that they were affected with the water. Now the main reason why I'm using this as an example is with the ministers that still, they know very well that their reputation is at stake.
But they still go ahead.
But they still go ahead and do it. So if I have been given a power, or I've been given a mandate to a leadership to go and rule over certain people, there's no way I'll do something that will put my reputation at risk. You get me? Me nkoye bibia at the end of the day, no, and I Regina, yes, no. Cautiously. That was what she was supposed to do, but she didn't. She misconducted herself. And at the end of the day, they've sacked you. Now what should they do? Now finally there's no case in court again. So she should relax. Exactly. But if that wisdom fails, you run to God and God will help you. God is not human who would look upon your mistakes and say he wouldn't bless you. Even in our mistakes, he continues to bless us. So she should just relax and turn a new leaf. Where you go and sin no more. She should dedicate all her adult life to God. And God is a miraculous working God. He will open another. The next president of
and what precedent and what precedents are we setting for ourselves as a country?
Oh, that one there, God is involved. They are setting spiritual precedents.
She's been
talk on.
She's been certified by the Holy Spirit. Hallelujah.
Amen.
Mistakes.
But she has really made a name for herself.
For herself. With this whole back and forth cases in court.
She has made a name for herself. But I think making a name for yourself, there are two things involved. Are you making a name for yourself in a good way? Or you're selling yourself out there in a bad way? Now, I feel like this woman should have given up from the onset when all this issue started. But to think of it again, there are people behind the scenes that are backing this woman and motivating her to do what she's doing. Because I think the first case was sent to the normal court and it was booted out. And then she got the courage and then she petitioned ECOWAS. And I remember some MPP faithfuls backing her that she has her right. That is not as if, you see, sometimes we make it look as if it is the president that is taking such a step. But this is a petition. A petition that the president was being petitioned by 3 people to get her out of office. And even before that, we realized that during the former administration or the previous administration, the former president was being petitioned to take her out. But she was never booted out. So it was during this current administration we realized that. So it is not as if the government is the one doing it, just like the way some people are making it to look like. But this is a case where you've been petitioned and then it went through the right processes.
Through the right process.
Yes. So why are you complaining? And I it feels like even after ECOWAS booted it out, you should just relax and then give up. Give up and then rest. No one is saying you still have your life. That is the most important thing here. You still have your life. But this woman had the guts. From here, I don't know what she will do next. I wouldn't be surprised if she comes up with another. That woman is not giving up anytime soon. That is how I see it. She's not giving up anytime soon. And so long as we still have people that are backing her and making her feel like she has the right to stand in for herself, she has the right to voice it out, that is wrong. It's not everything that I know my rights, I know my right to help you. It's rather disgrace you than to usher you into grace. So we are begging Tokonu for now she should rest. Supreme Court, from ECOWAS to Supreme Court into Ebu. So just relax. But I know she's not going to relax. She's not going to give up. She will still tell us that she knows her right. And we will still have some people, sensible people in this country who will back her. And I'll start seeing some of those sensible people who have started backing her.
Right. But you know that even before the Supreme Court came out with this judgment, Vicente Assefa wanted to withdraw his case. I was wondering what actually came into mind or what happened before he was like, oh, let me just withdraw the cases. But they say no way, you have to wait for judgment.
Most of the NPP MPs follow what their leader is doing. I feel like most of them don't really think through before they take action. So far as the leader is doing, they're fine. I'll also follow suit. So, lawyer to sell.
Yeah, he's also a lawyer.
Yeah, he's also
And
a
then
lawyer.
yesterday, I came across, I think the lawyer for Tokonu also voicing out that
Odame.
not Odame. Oh, he was voicing out that the way people are saying he knew this was going to happen, and he was still backing Tokonu, and then he was politicizing, and he said he didn't do anything of that. So I was like, look at this. So it has gotten to a place where everybody is drawing themselves back.
Yeah,
And
because
yes,
Odame was also a counsel for her in one of the cases,
Yeah.
and he wanted to withdraw, and
They
Supreme
said
Court
no.
said no,
Yes,
stay
but
where you are.
So I feel like as a legal practitioner, you should be careful with the kind of cases you indulge yourself in, because your reputation is will either be at stake in your favor or it will go against you. The reason why I'm saying this is because if somebody gets a case and they are going for a legal practitioner, they look at your records, they look at your legacy. If they see that you are a practitioner that follow every nonsense cases, no one will come for you. So you don't follow politics and then back people knowing fully well that the step this person is taking is not going to bring out anything profitable. You just have to back out, advise the person. That is it. They don't advise the person. You make the person feel like she has the right to stand in, to the extent that you have that boldness to sue the whole country and then demanding 100 million from us, right?
For compensation. Yeah, 100. 10 million.
10 million as compensation for what exactly? So I think the right thing should be done. That's all. But Tokonu should relax. She should back off, which I know she wouldn't do.
Interesting days ahead. We are just hoping that now that we are done with all the domestic legal cases in court regarding Tokonu, we will not be here and we will hear something else. But for me, I won't be surprised. So don't be also surprised if you see that. Thank you so much for joining us on the news review. Up next, we have Global Observances with Miss Regina Bless.
Bringing you some global observances live on GhanaTalks breakfast show. This is the holiday edition. Today is International Plastic Bag Free Day. It is a global initiative dedicated to raising awareness about the severe environmental hazards of single-use plastic bags. It encourages individuals, communities, and governments to phase out disposables and adopt eco-friendly, reusable alternatives to combat plastic pollution. And during this flooding season, we've seen a lot of plastic pollution. So today is a day to advocate for Plastic Bag Free Day. We also have Compliment Your Mirror Day. It is all about self-love and positive affirmation. It is the perfect excuse to pause and appreciate the fabulous person staring back at you. Focusing on your inner strength, personal growth, and unique beauty. Celebrating this wholesome day is entirely about shifting your mindset and being gentle with yourself. So if you don't own a mirror, do well to get a mirror today and compliment your mirror day. It's all about complimenting yourself, your inner beauty, and the person staring right back at you. We also have Disobedience Day. Encourages non-violent protest against unjust laws and promotes peaceful civic dissent. Inspired by historical figures and the philosophy of civil disobedience, it is a time to stand up for human rights and practice peaceful methods of resistance. Stay out of the sun day. To raise awareness about the dangers of excessive UV exposure and to encourage people to prioritize their skin health, It is the perfect excuse to stay indoors, enjoy the shade, and avoid the most intense midday rays. Observing this day is all about giving your skin a much-needed break from the sweltering heat. And today is also a day to prioritize sunscreen. Air Conditioning Appreciation Day. To honor the invention of the modern air conditioning and its transformative impact on human health, productivity, and global society, the holiday kicks off a dedicated month-long appreciation period that runs through August 15th, coinciding with the hottest dog days of summer. And lastly, National Grill Safety Day highlights the importance of safe barbecue practices right before peak summer grilling season. It serves as a vital reminder to inspect equipment, clear fire hazards, and avoid dangerous flare-ups during summer cookouts. And that's all for today on Today in History and some global. And that's all for today on some global observances live on GhanaTalks Breakfast Show.
Count up. Thank you so much, Miss Regina Bless, for some global observances. Up next, we have Debbie's Girl.
Welcome to Debbie's Grill, where we talk about issues that concern the state, void of politics, fear of favor. The Ghana Education Service has halted payment of salary to a teacher at Bali Senior High School accused of inappropriate sexual conduct involving a student in a science laboratory following his failure to report to duty after the incident. According to the service, the teacher has since absconded, prompting immediate administrative action, including the suspension of his salary and a formal report to the Ghana Police Service for his arrest and further investigation. Speaking to the media, the Director General of GES, Professor Ernest Kofi Davis, said the service is working closely with security agencies to ensure the teacher is apprehended and made to face both criminal proceedings and internal disciplinary processes. He explained that Ghana Education Service had already interdicted the teacher before taking the further step of stopping his salary, stressing that the move was necessary due to his disappearance from duty. Professor Davis cautioned that the service will apply the strictest sanctions available under its code of conduct, terminating alleged misbehavior as unacceptable and harmful to the safety of students. So this is a directive from the Ghana Education Service. Some time back, we saw a video, a disturbing video of that sort from Bali Senior High School, where a teacher was having an affair with a student in a science lab. And so GES is saying that his salary has been halted for this month. And that is because after the video popped up, the teacher refused reporting to school or reporting to work. And so the GES have gone ahead to taking a step, and that is to halt his salary. Now, my problem is students are being sent to school under the guidance of their teachers. For your whole life, I think you spend 99% of your life in school. When you come home, you only spend 24 hours of your life in the house when it's weekdays or when the school is on vacation, and then you've been given the holiday or a free period to stay home for say 3 weeks or maybe 1 month. That is when you can boldly say, well, you spend part of your life in the house. But then I can boldly tell you that 99% of your life is being spent in school. And that is similar thing associated when you're done with school and you're working. You spend 99% of your whole life at the workplace, and then you spend like 10% in the house. So if a student is being sent to a school, and then a teacher was supposed to guide the student, protect the student, teach the student the right thing to do, and they are rather doing the opposite of what they're supposed to do, then it means that our students are not safe in the schools. It means they are not safe. And I will tell you that a lot of teachers are doing this in the schools. A lot of them are doing it. And it's because their videos are not out. It's because they are not caught. And so it looks as if everything is normal. But a lot of them are taking advantage of the student. I wouldn't downplay the fact that some of the students have prepared themselves. We have students that do not go to school to study. A lot of them, they are not there to study. They are there for their, I don't know, but they have their own reasons. They are not there to study. Because if you are there to study and then you are determined to become a great person or a great figure in the future, and a teacher wants to take advantage of you, I think you have the sole right to report that teacher to your parent, to the authority, or to the security agency. And that is why we have them. That is their role. That is their mandate. And so when you go to the schools, they teach you how to be bold. They teach you how to speak out. If your right is being infringed on, they tell you that you need to speak out. If you don't speak out, how will they know that something of this sort is ongoing? And this is not the first time something like this is happening. There have been a lot of videos, a lot of sexual videos from schools. Teachers having an sexual affairs with the student. A student who was sent to school to study. They sent you there to study. They didn't send you there to go and do otherwise. And most of these teachers have ulterior motives. So sometimes you ask yourself, why? Is it that they don't see their colleague teachers in the school there? Or because they feel like, well, their class is somehow like a bit, no teacher will level themselves like that. Because they also know what they want. But I feel like most of these students are naive. And so they will take advantage of that. So a lot of teachers are taking advantage. And if you're a student and you don't learn how to stick your buttocks to the chair and learn, that is how most of these teachers will take advantage of you. Every student that is good, every student that sticks their butt on the chair to study, you don't clash with teachers like that. And it's only students that, they know why they are there. They are not there because of their books. They are there for other reasons. And so they don't want to fail. And you see, the most serious aspect is that you sell yourself out for this teacher to promote you. But you've forgotten that when you go and write BEC, when you write WASI, it is not that teacher that is marking your paper. So you still need to study. You still need to learn. And I feel like GES needs to do more. That is not the first time. I remember some time back when a video like that popped out. I think one of the authorities said, if you know you're a teacher and you can't control yourself, better resign. And go and find yourself a different work to do. You are there to teach. You are not there to be chasing students like dog. No. GES will need to sit up, bring out strict penalties that teachers will face if they are being caught, so that it will serve as deterrent to other teachers. And you see, I think supervision and monitoring too is bad. It's very, very, very bad. And the problem is, even if you dedicate someone to supervise and monitor the schools, they end up taking something. And even if they don't take anything, whoever is supposed to give them the info, do not give them the right info. So they also end up reporting an info that is not correct. And when it happens like that, what are we doing? What generation are we nurturing? Are we nurturing a generation of prostitutes? Are we nurturing a generation that are so into sexual activities? Is that what we want? If that is what we want, then yes, 10 years or 20 years from now, we should be expecting more of these people. And please, the parents, they have a role to play. Our parents, please, you have a role to play as well. You don't leave your student to the teacher alone. You have a role to play. Most of the parents we have behave as if they are lions. It is your child. Let them feel comfortable with you. There should be a cordial relationship between a parent and their wards, so that when they are going through something, they can voice it out. But if you behave as if you are a parent and you are behaving as if you are a lion, your child cannot even speak to you. Anytime he or she comes on, you frown. You are sitting down. You don't talk to the child. You don't even care. You don't even care about anything. You don't ask, say, how is school? What is going on? What are your challenges? Most parents fail to do this. They don't do it. And so these kids tend to find solace from their colleagues in the same age group. An adolescent finding solace from an adolescent. They will definitely tell you otherwise. Because at that stage, whatever they see with their eyes is right. But you as a parent, you know that at that stage, it's a critical stage. One man will say there is either the said word, spare the rod to spoil the child. If you don't train the child with an iron hand, he or she will end up being a burden to you. If that child is going to be a burden to you alone, I think we wouldn't even sit here discussing this. But the child is going to be a burden to you, a burden to the society. In fact, a burden to everybody. If that child becomes an armed robber, you will suffer, I will suffer, the nation will suffer. If that child becomes a prostitute, there is another wahala. So, parents, please, we are begging, we are pleading. If you go to the schools and then you talk to some of these students, you realize that most of them do not have cordial relationship. You cannot even sit with your dad and you cannot even sit with your mom and discuss like friends. And you are. And so even if something is wrong with you, you cannot voice it out. You rather tell your colleague, who is also naive as you are, and then they'll end up manipulating you and destroying you. But imagine you have parents that are calm, that listen to you. What are your challenges? Even if they don't have the means, they're trying their possible best to ensure that you are in safe hands. Please, African parents, they need to learn this because it's very, very serious. It's very, very needed. You need to have a cordial relationship with your own child. So that if something of that sort is happening in the school or a teacher try taking advantage, the first person to call is the dad. The first person to call is the mom. Not the colleague, not in the ward dorm who is already manipulated. No. So please, the parent has a role to play. The government has a role to play. GES, you have a role to play. The teachers themselves have a role to play. If you know you cannot control yourself, please, better find a profession to suit your nature. You are there to teach, not to be following students around. Science lab, is it a sexual lab? Science lab is a lab where you teach, you practically teach students. You mix chemicals. You are mixing chemicals, not mixing something else. So please, we are begging you, GES, stricter penalty. That is what we are calling for. Thank you for making time with me on Debbie's Girl.
Thank you so much, Miss Debbie. And thank you too for making time with us on the first segment of the GhanaTalks Breakfast Show. We'll be going for the news shortly, and right after the news, we'll be back. Please stick and stay with us.
Are you ready to amplify your business or brand's reach and make a meaningful impact in Ghana and beyond? Partner with GhanaTalks Radio today to connect with a diverse audience across Ghana and beyond. Elevate your brand through on-air promotions and social media. Boost your brand during prime time. With GhanaTalks Radio, you can extend your reach across digital platforms. GhanaTalks Radio is not just a station, it is a community hub where your brand becomes part of the conversation. Join us in fostering connections, celebrating culture, and making a lasting impression. For customized sponsorship packages and enquiries, email contact@GhanaTalksRadio.com or call +233 202 544614. GhanaTalks Radio, giving the youth a voice.
We bring you look.
It's 8 o'clock. Hello, good morning, and welcome to the morning news on GhanaTalks Radio. Coming up this morning, President Mahama's charged newly sworn in Auditor General Dr. Pamela Graham to make accountability a top priority as she takes office. In response, she called for professional discipline to go beyond the private sector and shape how both public and private institutions work. For teachers, government is set to introduce a 20% allowance for those in rural communities and steady leave half to 2 years. Dr. Zanetta Rollins calls for better crime scene training for security agencies in conflict zone. Meanwhile, the Upper East Minister says colonial policies left northern Ghana behind, reducing it to what he describes as a labor reserve. And in business news, the collateral registry recorded 484,059 entries in 2025, supporting secured loans worth 148.3 billion. We've got full details on these stories and many others coming up shortly. President John Dramani Mahama has charged newly sworn in Auditor General Dr. Pamela Graham to enforce transparency across all public institutions. Speaking at the swearing-in ceremony, President Mahama delivered a firm message on governance. He stressed that every public institution must uphold transparency and accountability in the management of public funds. Dr. Graham becomes the country's Auditor General at a time where government is under pressure to strengthen fiscal discipline and ensure value for money in public spending. The president noted that the Office of the Auditor General plays a critical role in detecting waste, irregularities, and corruption, while urging her to exhibit boldness, independent, and uncompromising in the execution of her mandate.
The government has consistently affirmed that economic recovery and national development cannot be achieved without strong institutions. Our efforts to restore macroeconomic stability, improve domestic revenue mobilization, implement the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development program, expand social investments, and accelerate infrastructure development all depend on ensuring that public resources are managed with integrity, efficiency, and discipline. Every ministry, department, agency, metropolitan, municipal, and district assembly, state-owned enterprises, and public officials must recognize that accountability is not optional, it is a constitutional obligation. The Auditor General therefore occupies a central place in our national development agenda. By identifying weaknesses in financial management systems, promoting compliance with the law, and recommending corrective actions, the office directly contributes to improving public service delivery and protecting the taxpayers' money. My government will continue to support the strengthening of the audit service through investment in modern audit technologies, digital systems, capacity building, and institutional reforms that enable the service to discharge its constitutional mandate effectively. At the same time, all public institutions must cooperate fully with our Auditor General and ensure the timely implementation of audit recommendations. Audit reports should never be viewed merely as statutory documents to be laid before Parliament. They should serve as a practical management tool to improve governance, strengthen internal controls, eliminate waste, and enhance the efficiency of public administration.
In response, newly sworn-in Auditor General Dr. Pamela Graham says she will bring private sector standards into Ghana's public audit system. Citing 25 years of private sector experience, she said her leadership will be shaped by professionalism, global audit standards, accountability, and measurable results in public service. She indicated that her focus will be on strengthening audit quality, improving timelines for reports, and ensuring recommendations translate into action. The Auditor General's office is constitutionally mandated to audit all public accounts and report to Parliament, a role central to fighting waste and corruption.
I come into this role with 25 years of professional experience in the private sector, where credibility is non-negotiable. Numbers must stand up to scrutiny. Systems must work, and when they do not, there are consequences. That discipline cannot remain at the boundaries of the private sector. I see this as an opportunity to bring in a fresh perspective grounded in professional rigor, global standards, and a strong culture of performance and results. With over 2 decades of managing various engagements under the Office of the Auditor General, I am acutely aware that the public service carries its own complexities. Therefore, it is imperative that I work hand in hand with all dedicated professionals within the service to strengthen what already exists, improve where necessary, and continue to build an institution that commands confidence and trust. I am mindful that this responsibility is assumed at a time of heightened public scrutiny and legitimate demand for discipline, prudence, and honesty in the management of the public resources. Drawing from this, I welcome and fully endorse the establishment of dedicated high courts to handle infractions that emerge from the Auditor General's report as a step in the right direction. Accountability must be enforced in a timely and credible manner. When findings are not acted upon, the system weakens further. When they are addressed decisively, trust begins to build up. I also draw attention to the fact that the strength of this office lies in its independence. This independence should be upheld and not abused, as it is a necessity for the work we do. I am committed to working constructively, but also upholding the objectivity that this role demands. To my colleagues in the audit service, this moment belongs to all of us. The credibility of this institution will be shaped by our daily decisions, the rigor of our work, the standards we refuse to compromise, and the courage to insist on what is right, even when it is inconvenient. Your Excellency, as I take on this role, I commit to protect the integrity of the public purse, strengthen confidence in our institutions, and to contribute in a practical and measurable way in restoring trust in the systems that serve our nation. I am grateful for the confidence placed in me to serve our nation. I will serve with diligence, with fairness, and with integrity.
The chairperson of Parliament's Security and Intelligence Committee, Dr. Zanetta Rawlings, urged governments and security institutions to invest more in evidence collection and preservation training. Speaking at a United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime Expert Group, the Clote Colley Member of Parliament said weak handling of evidence at crime scenes, especially in conflict-affected areas, sabotage in investigations and prosecutions. The United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime meeting brought together security experts to discuss best practices for criminal justice and fragile and conflict settings.
This program here today is about trying to finalize the standard operating procedures for first responders in conflict situations, which basically is a slightly different scenario than what you would normally know as a normal crime scene. The difficulty sometimes with a crime scene in a conflict area is that the first responders are not always the police. And as a result of which, you may have a scenario where those who are the first on the scene of a crime may not understand the importance of ensuring that the crime scene is not is not disrupted, and also may not understand how to collect evidence in such a way that the integrity of the evidence is protected, that the continuity in terms of custody is maintained. And it's important that in training our personnel, these SOPs are meant to be quite simple, straightforward, and easy to follow, in order to ensure that at the end of the collection of evidence, at the end of perhaps arrests of persons in a specific context, which is normally in a conflict area, or in a scenario where there's been some terrorist attack or some violent extremism, when cases are brought before the court, because there's been proper chain of custody, there's been proper integrity of the evidence protection, and of course the scene of the crime was actually taken care of properly. As a result of that, the hope is that we will have a better prosecution rate, and that the judges will not deem evidence inadmissible because of the way evidence was collected. So this is to simplify the process by which evidence is collected, protected, and presented to the courts in a form that meets the gold standard as far as evidence submission before our courts is concerned, so that the judges are able to successfully preside over cases and we can have successful prosecutions of criminals who come before the court.
Government has unveiled new incentives to attract and keep teachers in deprived communities. According to the Minister for Education, a 20% rural posting allowance will be rolled out for teachers serving in hard-to-reach areas. The move is aimed at boosting motivation and improving retention where staffing gaps are most severe. Mr. Haruna Idrisu also disclosed that the qualifying period for study leave will be reduced for rural teachers. This was after education unions called for better conditions for teachers in remote districts, citing accommodation challenges, lack of transport, and professional isolation as key reasons for high attrition.
Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Education, in collaboration with the Ghana Education Service, is implementing a number of targeted strategies to improve the welfare, motivation, and retention of teachers across the country, particularly those posted to rural and underserved areas. Teacher welfare is positioned as a national priority to strengthen their motivation, dignity, and retention, and for long-term education outcome gains. As part of government efforts to attract, motivate, and retain teachers in deprived and underserved communities, special incentives have been put in place for teachers who accept posting to such areas. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to note that one of these incentives is a reduction in the number of years required to qualify for study leave. Originally, it was 3 years if you are in a deprived area. We have reduced it now to 2 years. So any person who accepts posting to a rural deprived area after 2 years of service can apply for study leave with pay. We also are engaged in continuous education and capacity building of teachers across the country. In addition, Mr. Speaker, government is committed to roll out a 20% salary we assured for rural posting allowance for teachers serving in rural and deprived areas. And the Ministry of Finance, GS, and the Ministry of Education is working as implementing that. Mr. Speaker, a significant thing that affects the welfare of teachers is their shelter, housing. We are currently engaged in some discussion to deploy the Teacher Dabre initiative of President Mahama, which was in the NDC manifesto, which will provide accommodation for teachers in rural areas to address the housing challenges that often affect teacher deployment and retention in those areas. Under this initiative, deliberate measures are being taken to ensure that the construction of new school facilities is accompanied by teacher accommodation. So this time we've directed that if contracts are awarded for school blocks, it necessarily must include an accommodation facility for the teacher.
The Upper East Regional Minister says Ghana's colonial history is a key reason for underdevelopment of the northern region. He argued that colonial-era policies deliberately treated northern Ghana as a labor reserve to supply workers for cocoa farms and mining operations in the south. According to the minister, the practice of slave raiding and the colonial labor systems also disrupted families and communities. He called for government and development partners to factor their structural disadvantages into planning, resource allocation and spatial interventions for the North. The remarks add to a long-running national debate on regional disparities in infrastructure, education and poverty levels between northern and southern Ghana.
When Kwame Nkrumah became the president in the 1957 thereabout, what he did was he knew of the fact that even the policy, the colonial policy, was such that the northern sector was deliberately kept as the suppliers of raw materials. So we were to supply labor in the cocoa farms and the mining. And so therefore, education started here very late. And so therefore, that is why we are a bit backwards. And so in terms of development. And so that is why when he got the independence, he decided to say that, okay, let's give them some grants for the northern sector so that at least tuition fee will be free for them to also catch up with the southern sector. And that is how he introduced that. And so, whereas even in the colonial policy, we were deliberately kept down. It's as if we were cursed by the Almighty. When it came to the slavery, we were the people who were targeted as raw materials. And then if you go down to the southern sector, you go to, and when they're even sending them for the wars, the First World War and all that, when you go there, you see Alas and Kangeka. You see that Alas and that. So you see the names even indicates that the northerners were the people who were pushed into that action. And so it's not for nothing that you are fighting. So I think that it's the spirit of your ancestors that have rekindled their efforts in you, and they are pushing you.
In business, the total number of security interests registered in 2025 was 484,059 compared to 382,215 in 2024. The Bank of Ghana has disclosed in its 2025 annual report and financial statement. This represented a 26.7% year-on-year growth. In terms of sector distribution of secured loans, the commerce and finance accounted for 88.9% of the total secured lending in 2025, followed by the agriculture, forestry and fishing sector 4% and services sector with 3%. The total value of secured loans granted in 2025 amounted to 148.3 billion Ghana cedis compared to 60.9 billion Ghana cedis in 2024. Of the total value, banks granted 94.5 billion in secured loans in the year. In 2025, 72,901 searches were conducted compared with 65,267 in 2024, representing 11.7% increase in search volumes during the year. The volumes of registered collateral assets increased by 21.7% year-on-year to 584,000 in 2025 compared to 479,707 in 2024. Cash collateral remained the most widely accepted asset, followed by inventories, stock of goods and company and business assets. The collateral registry issued a total of 200 memorandum of no objection certificate to assist with the realization of security interest in collateral, compared with 301 certificates in 2024, indicating a 33.6% decrease. In 2025, the number of registration discharge went up by 45.3% to 105,029 compared to 192,158 in 2024. These activities were largely dominated by savings and loans companies, which recorded the highest volumes of registration, searches and discharges. To sports, Senegal's national men's team head coach Pep Thiaw has blamed referee Said Martinez for his team's elimination from the 2026 FIFA World Cup. He said this after the Teranga Lions lost 3-2 to Belgium at the round of 32 stage after extra time, despite taking a 2-0 lead after 51 minutes. Yuri Telemon scored Belgium's second and third goals in controversial fashion, as his header for Belgium's equalizer came after he seemingly pushed a Senegal defender, while Lamine Camara's foul led to Belgium converted penalty. Split opinions leading Pep Thiaw to state, according to RTS Senegal. To showbiz, the family of the late Ghanaian actress and entrepreneur Beverly Afaglo has announced a change of venue for a funeral service ahead of her final farewell. The funeral, which was initially scheduled to be held at the Lashibi Funeral Home, will now take place at the forecourt of the State House on Saturday, August 8th at 7 a.m. Following the funeral service, the burial will be held in private. A Thanksgiving service is also scheduled for Sunday, August 9th at Action Chapel International. Beverly Afaglo passed away on May 24 at the age of 42, just 4 days before what would have been her 43rd birthday. News of her passing sent shockwaves through Ghana's entertainment industry, with colleagues and fans paying tribute to her legacy and vibrant personality. She's survived by her husband and their 2 children. Her family has invited relatives, friends, colleagues and well-wishers to join them in celebrating her life and paying their last respect. On global updates, the South African Revenue Service has cautioned that from July 1st, travelers entering or leaving South Africa must submit an online traveler declaration before traveling. The new travel rules forms part of digital travel pass piloted at airports in South Africa back in 2022. As part of a modernization program, the South African Revenue Service implemented the South African Traveller Management System on a pilot basis at select airports that year. During the pilot phase, the system operated on a voluntary basis but has now become mandatory. All travelers must now submit an online declaration no more than 24 hours before departure from the country. The South African Revenue Service said, in general, persons entering or leaving South Africa by air, land or sea must submit a traveller declaration. This includes South African citizens, residents and foreign travellers. A parent, legal guardian and caretakers must complete the declaration on behalf of a minor or persons who cannot complete it themselves. However, there are exemptions. Those who qualify for limited paper-based exceptions are exempted. For those traveling to South Africa on a multi-stop journey, the declaration must be submitted no more than 24 hours before departure on the last leg of their journey to South Africa. To complete the form, South African Revenue Service said the travelers need to submit their passport or travel document details, contact details, details of any traveling companions if applicable. Regarding declarations, the South African Revenue Service said travelers do not need to declare ordinary personal effects for their own use. However, they must declare goods, currency, and other items that exceed their travel allowance. For clarity, the Revenue Service outlined their duty-free limits per traveler for declaration. This includes goods up to 500 per person may be imported without paying value-added tax. Additional goods up to 20,000 may be allowed but may be subjected to duty. If the total value exceeds 25,000, normal customs, duties, and VAT will apply. If a traveler cannot submit electronically due to a system failure, lack of internet access, they may be assisted at the port by an officer where available. In limited cases, a paper declaration may still be used, the South African Revenue Service said, though it stressed this will be only in exceptional circumstances. The Revenue Service cautioned that travelers are legally required to make proper and true declaration. In addition to the online declaration becoming mandatory, President Cyril Ramaphosa has also issued a proclamation commencing Section 30 of the Financial Intelligence Center Act. This introduces a requirement for domestic and foreign travelers to declare cash in their possession exceeding the threshold of 100,000 when crossing the country's land borders and seaport. Also activated is the responsibility of the South African Revenue Service Customs and exercise to receive such declarations made by travelers and make them available to the Financial Intelligence Center. And that's a wrap on the morning news update. Do want to log on to all streaming platforms at GhanaTalks Radio for more news stories. I am Deborah Adoso. Good morning.
Are you ready to amplify your business or brand's reach and make a meaningful impact in Ghana and beyond? Partner with GhanaTalks Radio today to connect with a diverse audience across Ghana and beyond. Elevate your brand through on-air promotions and social media. Boost your brand during prime time. With GhanaTalks Radio, you can extend your reach across digital platforms. GhanaTalks Radio is not just a station, it is a community hub where your brand becomes part of the conversation. Join us in fostering connections, celebrating culture, and making a lasting impression. For customized sponsorship packages and enquiries, email contact@GhanaTalksRadio.com or call +233 202 544614. GhanaTalks Radio, giving the youth a voice.
What do you want for breakfast? How do you want your breakfast?
English breakfast, French fries.
Koko Nikosi, alo komi kesheto.
Wache.
Well, Gobe is the real deal.
Join us on Ghana Talks Radio. Let's serve you a buffet of breakfast.
From news headlines review, current affairs to social issues.
Entertainment, sports, and all the trending stories live on our mobile app and across all socials from Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m.
With me, Pakwesi Omare,
Regina Bless,
Deborah Adoso,
and I am Esinal Fiagbedu. This is Ghana Talks Breakfast Show.
Wake up, Ghana. Your morning star, right? News, views, inspiration, and great conversations. From Accra to the world, we bring the fresh stories, fresh energy every morning, full of fire.
This is GhanaTalks Breakfast Show, your morning companion.
Rise and shine, come join the line. Your day begins when the voice.
Good morning to you once again, and you are welcome to the Ghana Talks Breakfast Show right here on Ghana Talks Radio. This is your morning companion. Remember that you are streaming live on Facebook at Ghana Talks Radio, on YouTube at Ghana Talks Radio, and also on X at Ghana Talks Radio. Do want to log on, send in your comments. Let's get interactive right here on the show. This is the second segment of the morning show, and as you know it, we come along with knowledgeable guests who are going to be delving into the issue for discussion this morning. As part of the issues for discussion, we'll be talking about the xenophobic attack still arising in South Africa, and also Ghana's inflation climbing to 5.3 as of now. You are wondering. It is what it is. Thank you so much for joining us on the Ghana Talks Breakfast Show. This program or this morning show promised to be exciting, very educative, and very insightful, looking at the topics we have on board and the knowledgeable guests right here in the studios. This morning, I must say that I'm elated to have Mr. Alex Jan, the NPP Communications team member. Good morning to you, Mr. Jan, and you're welcome to the Ghana Talks Breakfast Show.
Good morning, Esnam.
Yes, Esnam.
All right. Thank you for giving the opportunity.
Yeah, it's good to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a while we had you in the studios.
Yeah.
What happened? You traveled to America?
I've been around.
Or you landed from South Africa?
South Africa. Anyway, I've been around. We are going about party activities. We are doing, reorganizations as part of our activities. When it comes to Abrikmanov, we are almost going to do our constituency executive elections. Yes, I think a week today.
A week today?
Yes.
So that means that God willing next week?
Tomorrow's week.
Tomorrow's week?
Yes.
So that means that on Saturday, God willing next week Saturday?
Next week Saturday.
I think that will be on the 8th or something.
On the 11th.
On the 11th.
Yeah.
Right. You'll be having the
constituency elections.
At Ablekuma North.
Ablekuma North,
and which people are you? Is it the executive? The branch executive?
The executive who will man the affairs of the party affairs in the constituency.
Oh, okay.
Constituency chairman, constituency secretary, and the rest of the executives.
Oh, okay. That's cool. We wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Anyways, hope you were not affected by the floods.
Well, my area got flooded. But
your area got... Where is your area?
I live around Makati.
Makati? Oh.
Yeah.
Makati there was... it was swollen. The water married you people. Oh.
Seriously, it was very dangerous. But, well, I live in a store building, so I wasn't affected much. But
those are the
all the place, everybody.
So you see why it's an advantage to live on top.
Exactly, but it comes with a cost.
It comes with a cost. So meaning that if you want to go up there, you're going to pay extra than those at the down.
Those down there, they are not paying as much as we up there.
Okay, but if it's the matter of life, if it's going to save your life, why not?
But if you don't have it, how will you be able to achieve it? You get it?
Yeah,
and this flood, as a matter of fact, is very, very massive.
Yeah.
I believe in that area. I've witnessed several, floods, but this one was extraordinary, honestly.
So that means that Makati Hill actually usually gets flooded.
Yes.
It usually is. Whenever it rains, it gets flooded. You mean down there?
Down there.
Okay, so those
opposite the hill.
Oh, okay.
Almost all the place got flooded. From Malam Junction to Tetegu, all the place got flooded. I was an eyewitness. I am a victim, not necessarily. My room got flooded, but I'm a victim of.
Yeah, your house got flooded. But the fortunate thing is that you were on a story building, so you happened to be at the top, so you weren't that flooded. But we thank God, because a lot of people, there were buildings that were, how do I say it, that came down because of the flood, and how, heavy and strong the water was. So some building had to come down.
Sure.
We thank God for life. We thank God for life. But what's your thought on the cause of the flood? What do you think we are not doing right as a country?
Well, as a country, what I believe we can do is to take things serious when it comes to governance. The buck stops with the executives to make sure that things are put in right. Incidents like this or issues about flood, it is something that we shouldn't politicize it, because when it comes, it affects everybody regardless of your political affiliations. All right, when the flood was coming, it never asked, are you an MPP member or are you an this member?
Obviously
before
not.
you get affected. So if we are building a nation, we need to make sure that certain things, we don't politicize it. When you are given the mandate as a president, make sure that you live out your expectation. Because when this government, President Mahama was in opposition, he lambasted the MPP government for not taking flood issues seriously. Okay. And he gave a lot of promises, and that's got the Ghanaians' attention and gave them the opportunity. We believed that, or we thought that he's going to do something extraordinary, but only for us to see this, knee-jerk reactions and, blame games and what have you. Because I remember President Mahama, when he was in opposition, was asking Akufo-Addo government to collapse the sanitation ministry, and if he doesn't, when he comes, he will do that.
And I think he did.
Come again?
Yeah, he did.
He did.
He
but
doesn't
what
have
what has been the impact of it? He said he's going to merge it with the local government, or it will go back to the local government. But when it came 2 years down the lane, what have you seen?
Oh, it's not already 2 years old. It's
almost 2 years.
18 months.
Almost 2 years. What have you seen? All right. Of course, in his era, we have witnessed unprecedented flood in the history of Ghana. All right. When he was president in his first time, 2015, June 3rd, we witnessed such a calamity, and this is the topmost. So Ghanaians are asking President Mahama, I mean, what's destiny does he carry? Anytime he ascend the throne, we witness. Of course, in MPP era, throughout the 8 years, Ghanaians experienced flood, but not to the extent as we are witnessing now. Comparing June 3rd, 2015 to this one, you see that this is very massive. You get it? So, President Mahama, we are asking, Ghanaians are asking that. Sometimes politicians, people believe that before they get a power, they have a lot of places they visit, they have a lot of things they do. So when they come to ascend the seat, then the repercussions starts coming, and Ghanaians become victims. Meanwhile, you have gone to do whatever. I'm not saying that this is not happening, but this perception and some perceptions you may necessarily be true. You get it? You have gone to do whatever thing that you have gone to do to win power, and when you come, Ghanaians are going to suffer for what he did. So we are pleading with the executive. He has the power to execute and make sure that things are done right. He should do what he promised Ghanaians.
Right.
Ghanaians are expecting that after the flood, he will visit all the places in person. But look at what he did. He flied in the air.
But, Mr. John.
Yes, please.
Your administration had 8 years to, fight this flood issue. And you also mentioned that you even had a sanitation ministry. And the question people are asking is, what were you able to do?
Okay. If the previous government or the sanitation ministry wasn't working then, did we witness such a massive flood?
But don't you think that if they would have done something, it wouldn't have been this worse?
Okay. But the question I am also asking, probably they were doing something. If they were sleeping just as this current government is sleeping, we would have witnessed such a massive flood. But throughout the 8 years of MPP, it means that they were doing something good. It means that they were on top of their job. That is why we never, at least they didn't spend just 2 years. They didn't spend just 1 year. 8 years. If you were sleeping, if you were not working, at least something of this sort would have happened.
Right.
So because some Ghanaians will also say that because the previous government was working, that's why we never experienced such a massive flood.
But
There were
you know
desilting.
that
The government was consistently doing desilting. Choke gutters were being were desilted. So
Right.
that's why we never experienced all sort of things.
But you know that it hasn't rained this much in quite a long time.
Mhm.
You are aware of that because
Oh.
the last time we saw such a situation as massive as this, yesterday I watched a video that was during J.J. Rollins' time. That was around 1960, 1995, if I stand to be corrected. That was during that time that we had such intense flood, and you know, rainfall is something natural. It's not something that is orchestrated by human being, but it's something natural that comes. So looking at the rainfall that actually fell on Monday, it's quite different from the ones that we've had subsequently, even the previous years.
I admit that you're right, but President Mahama himself has also admitted that Accra is flood-prone area,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody can conclude that anytime it rains, whether it rains massively or not, Accra gets flooded. Do you get it?
Mm-hmm.
So I will not go by that belief that because it rained, continuously a long number of hours, and the level of water that were coming was so much. That is why we had this kind of flood. The matter is that no matter the quantum of water that falls, no matter how long the rain falls, if the gutters are choked, even if it rained 2 hours, just as we always witness. In Accra here, there are several places when it rained 2 hours, the place will get flooded. You get it?
Mm-hmm.
So if the choke gutters were desilted, I don't think no matter the quantum of flood that counts, I mean, it will have a chance to flow, to go where it's supposed to go. During the sanitation, during previous administration, the sanitation
Syria, the
ministry was
first time.
working. All right, the sanitation ministry was at work. You see Zoom Lion always present in town, sweeping, clearing garbages and debris, making sure that the gutters the choke things are removed from the gutters. But now you say you have scrapped it off. All right. And we are not making any impact.
So you think because President John Dramani Mahama did not employ a sanitation minister or brought up a sanitation ministry, that is why we are seeing the flood?
He said the sanitation ministry was not necessary because they are not working, or they were not working then. So that is why when he comes, we will go back to the local government system. Do you get it? So according to his own way, he believed that it is the local government that has to make sure that the places, the areas are clean, just as if within the mandate of the assemblies. Okay, so if you walk your talk, you make sure that the assembly, the various assemblies, they take the sanitation issue seriously. Okay, when you walk along the road, you see how fields have packed along the road. You see, in the middle of the city, this is the capital city, capital of Ghana.
And would that be the cause of the government or the individual?
Of course, if the individuals are not responsible, what is your work as a government? That is why we have given a mandate. That is why you are paid as a president. That is why you are paid as a minister. So what work are you doing?
Yeah, but your president also said some time back that he's not going to use the taxpayers' money to desilt the Odo River because due to human behavior, we are throwing rubbish into the gutter. So he's not going to do that. So why then do you want this current administration to clean after the mess an individual, which is, reasonable or good up there that you are not supposed to drop the rubbish here? Why do you want the government to clean after that person?
Okay. Why laws were made? Laws are made to check the irresponsible behavior of man.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we know people, no matter what, God has given us wisdom and to reason. We are able to reason. When you know that you are throwing this bottle of water in the gutter, it may choke somewhere else. Somebody may not also take it as serious. The person, no matter what, the person will throw it there. So because such irresponsibilities are always in the system, people will be so irresponsible. That's why, we enact laws to check those people. So laws, the local government have the laws, all right, to check that people are responsible. You will not throw garbages around anyhow, because that irresponsibility, the repercussion will not affect you alone. It will affect the people living around. You get it? So as a government, you have been given the mandate with all these laws. Why don't you enforce the laws? When he was in opposition, he talked as if when he comes, you will not leave any stone unturned. But it has become a different thing else.
Well, during your tenure, you had an initiative called the Garage. One question that keeps popping up is, with all the money that was invested in this project, what was he able to achieve?
Come again with the question, please.
I'm saying that during your tenure, there was a project that was introduced, which is the Garage in 2019, which is the Greater Accra Resilient Integrated Development Project. And this was said to silt gutters and then, make sure that they put proper structures in place to prevent flooding. And one question that keeps popping up is, with all the monies that were invested, monies approved by Parliament and also money that was also disbursed by the World Bank, what was he able to achieve?
Oh, I don't have much knowledge about Garage, so fine. I may not be able to speak much about that. But as far as I'm concerned, the point is that the previous government was working then. If the previous government was relaxing, sleeping on their job, I do not think this kind of issues that we are witnessing now, we wouldn't have witnessed it then. Ghanaians will tell you that the sanitation ministry that was in charge, that the Garage was under the sanitation ministry, all right, and because they were up to task, they made sure that things were done rightly. I'm not saying that they got everything perfect, but at least things were put in place to keep such a menace. And if they were sitting aloof, not working, at least we would have witnessed such kind of uncertainties. But because the previous government worked, that is why Ghanaians never experienced such a gargantuan flooding. No matter what, this president must admit that he has failed. Of course, he has failed.
You know what is surprising? It's not like NPP left government 5 years ago. NPP left government 18 months ago.
Yeah.
You said 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And assuming like you would have put in so much effort when it comes to waste management and what it has to take to make sure that Accra is not that flooded. You mentioned yourself that even during your tenure, Accra was still flooded. Water was still entering into people's life, but we haven't seen its massive accesses as we've seen it. Don't you think that let's just assume that during your tenure, you put in so much effort, you could have seen much results with the initiative, with the policy, the Garage you brought on board. Don't you think it wouldn't have been worse as we are experiencing it now?
Okay, granted that the Garage program was successful, and a lot of drainage were established or constructed, and living power for almost 18 months now, getting to 2 years now. It is not enough when you build or construct drainage and leave it for it to be choked, because within a month, the level of refuse and garbage we are witnessing in Accra here. If you say you will not desilt the gutter, you not clean the city, and you allow the fields to just move around, any people just throw rubbish anyhow. If you don't desilt continuously or consistently, give yourself about 5 months. The gutters, the drainage will be choked. And we are all witness when you walk along the main road, they are desilting those drainage down there. It will surprise you the kind of item they are removing from the drainage. They remove to the extent that they remove a whole mattresses, barrels, fridges, You get it? So all these things, if you don't do it, if you say that MPP can tout that, of course, the garage project works successfully, but after 18 months, the government decided not to desilt, and the gutters have been choked. During MPP's era, you hear of Jospon, you hear of Zoom Lion. Zoom Lion was everywhere. Every morning you see them sweeping the street, clearing the garbage. After clearing the garbage, they don't leave it there. They make sure that they clear it and go and dump it at the dumping the site. You get it? But now, I am giving you instances where I live along the Makati main road. Go and see how sand have been accumulated along the road, and whose responsibility, to clear those things. What is the MCs and various, assemblies doing?
And the MPs as well. What are they also doing?
Well, I am asking, is whose responsibility to undertake that job, to make sure that all those fields are cleared? So if the government is working and Ghanaians are seeing the impact of what the government is doing, we would not have been witnessing all these things. So the fact is that the government has stopped or refused to clear the garbage. The government has refused to desilt the drainages. That is why we are witnessing that. And I will not be a prophet of doom. If the president or the government decide not to do the needful, we will witness much more than what we are witnessing now. I am not giving any doom prophecy, but the fact is that since we have this government that has decided not to take sanitation issues serious, this is what we're going to witness, and we're going to witness much bigger than this. So it's high time Ghanaians should call on the government to sit up, because we use the taxpayers' money to pay them.
What about we individuals also dumping in illegal places?
Well, we must be responsible
Of
as
course.
Ghanaians. That's why President Akufo-Addo, caution us to be, or admonish us to not to be spectators. Do you get it? We should get involved. Governance is not always, at the doorsteps of. Responsibility of governance is not only with the executive, only with ministers, but we as individuals, we also, form in a certain level. We also form a way part of the government. All right, we should make sure that we do what is expected of us. That you dumping the refuse or garbage over here is not nice, because see, the president is there, the minister is there, the MC is there. I'm sorry to say, they live somewhere a better place.
Of course.
But when it gets flat, you, the individuals that dump the refuse in the gutter, you are going to suffer for it. All right. So mostly the crime that we commit come back to bite us. You get it? And it teaches us that as a human being, you must be responsible, because if you commit a crime today, give yourself 1 week or 2 weeks. When it rains, the repercussion will come back to you. It will not go to the president. So in as much as we blame our leaders, we also must be responsible as Ghanaians.
Yeah, we have to be responsible for our actions as
Yeah.
well. So what do you think can solve the problem?
What can really solve the problem, as we are calling on individuals as Ghanaians to stop dumping garbage in the gutter, we are also calling on executives whom we are paying with our taxpayers' money, and they take a huge amount of a chunk of our taxes to sit up and work. The local government and the assemblies who are responsible to give permit to build structures, they should also make sure that places are not earmarked for buildings. So those places, those things, they must take into consideration. It is not amount of money that you need, as municipal assembly or district assembly, that should always matter. Because when you give the permit to build that structure over there, you take money and the assembly will get money. But sometimes we shouldn't focus so much on the money. You may take the money today, tomorrow the flood may destroy whatever thing that you may use the money to do. Because when you go to some, assemblies and municipalities, roads have been washed away, drainages have been destroyed, a lot of properties have been lost, all right, and life has also been lost. So what is the essence of, looking at the money that you get and give unnecessary permit for people to build in the waterways, and at the end of the day we suffer for this? So we all must be responsible as people.
We all must be responsible as people. So the government is not just our politicians, the president, and those in authority.
Exactly.
We as Ghanaians and as individuals are also the government. So we also have a role to play in all of this.
Exactly.
Be your brother's keeper.
Sure.
If you see something, say something.
Sure.
And now I think a brigadier or an officer has been put in charge to mitigate flooding issues. So if they see you dumping refuse anywhere and they grab you, don't say that and not buying more. Then you should know that what you're doing is bad. Yeah, so that was just by the way. This is still your Ghana Talks Breakfast show, right here on Ghana Talks Radio. Remember that you're streaming live on Facebook at Ghana Talks Radio, on YouTube at Ghana Talks Radio, and also on X at Ghana Talks Radio. Yes, so at this juncture, we are going to be delving into our main topic for discussion. As I mentioned earlier this morning, we'll be looking at inflation going up. We had an inflation of a single digit in the last past months, but it looks like this time around inflation has gone up. We had inflation at 3 or 4% a few months ago, but now inflation is at 5.3%, and this is according to the Ghana Statistical Service, and they are saying that Ghana's annual inflation rates increased to 5.3% in June 2026, up from 3.7% in May, according to the Ghana Statistical Service. Although inflation rose by 1.6 percentage points, it remains much lower than the 13.7% recorded in June 2025, showing that overall price pressures are still lower than they were a year ago. And the GSS says the increase was mainly driven by non-food items, particularly transport fares, anything non-food, transport fares, house rent, school fees, accommodation, and then all of that. Anything that does not have to do with food, went up. And non-food inflation rose to 6.3%, while food inflation also increased slightly to 3.9%. And the report also shows that prices of locally produced goods rose faster than imported goods, making them the biggest contributor to overall inflation. So despite the annual increase, month-on-month inflation slowed to 0.2% in June from 1.1% in May, meaning prices continue to rise but at a slower pace than the previous month. Yeah. So prices of goods and services may go up, but it will be at a slower pace. And this actually has to do with non-food products or non-food inflated products. So that means transportation, school fees, house rent, accommodation, such as the hotels, the lodge, and the guest house and all of that. These are set to, go up. Mr. Jan.
Yes, please.
Why is inflation go up for non-food items? I don't understand. But they said that fuel prices has been decreased.
Okay. Thank you for another opportunity. You're asking why non-food products?
Yeah, why are we seeing high inflation?
Okay. We are told that now inflation is coming back. It's now going higher from 3 point something to 5 now, 5.8 or rather. Anyway.
Sorry, 5.3.
When you talk about inflation, it is a rate at which prices of goods and services go up in the system. So it tells us that maybe last week or last month, the price of this commodity was maybe 5 cedis, but we are in July now. though it has shot up, but the rate at which it's supposed to have increasing is very low. All right. Now, we are asking the government, who are touting and jubilating over a single-digit inflation from 3 point something, and now they're coming back to where they picked from, 5.8. We are asking, when they took it from the previous government, it was around 23. And they said Ghanaians should hail them because they have done what is unprecedented. I'll come back to your question, and where I'm building my point, we will come to your question. So Ghanaians should praise them. We have done unprecedented, and in the history of Ghana, this is the lowest as they have been touting. But I want to ask you, in your honest opinion, do you feel the impact of this 3 point something inflation and now 5.8? Do you feel the impact of it? 5.3. Do you feel the impact of it in your pocket? Because if prices are going down, it's supposed to reflect the reality.
But how are we supposed to feel the impact in our pockets, as you mentioned?
Okay, during the Elsa administration, in Akufo-Addo's administration, before we led power, inflation was 23%.
Yes, very high.
And the prices of food items, when you go to market, you buy maybe tomatoes, you can buy 10 cedis, you can even buy 5 cedis when inflation was 23%. But now, almost 2 years or 18 months down the lane, when they came, they said inflation has shot down to 3.3%. Now you cannot get tomatoes 5 cedis to buy when you go to market.
Really?
I'm telling you the truth. When you go to market,
to the shortage of tomatoes, or is due to inflation?
we cannot ascribe to that. No.
But is that not supposed to be food insecurity rather than attributing it to inflation?
But we are supposed to have a few of the impacts of the inflation in our pocket, because we are doing comparison now.
Yeah.
But you say we should praise you because you have shot inflation down from 23 to 3.3%.
But in your explanation, you mentioned that you explained inflation, and you said that the rate at which prices of foods and services actually increase. And now tomatoes is not there. So I think that will rather be food insecurity because it's scarce now, rather than relating it to inflation. I don't know if you get me.
I understand you.
Yeah.
But we cannot only talk about tomatoes. Now, when you go to market, I know you're a woman, so you go to market. When you go to market, you cannot get, when you have 5 cedis, you cannot get ginger to buy. You cannot get, now, they have even decided that you cannot even buy pepper, just ordinary pepper, 5 cedis. Yesterday I went to market. Now, formerly, when you go to market, you want to buy pepper, they mix it, the red one and the green one, they mix it for you, a bunch of it, 5 cedis. But now, when you go to market, they have segregated it, they have divided the red. They have the red in another pack, the green in another pack, and even the red, they will not give you 5 cedis. If you have 5 cedis, they will give you just a little amount of the green ones. Do you understand me? We have moved from tomato, we have come to ginger. After ginger, you cannot even get 5 cedis to buy. We have moved from ginger to pepper. Now let's talk about tuber of yam. When inflation was 23 then, when you go to market, when you have 10 cedis, you can have a tuber of yam to buy. But now you have 20 cedis. The least tuber of yam you can get is 25 cedis. I bought some 3 days ago. Just a tuber of yam like this. I nearly wept. When you want to buy cassava, those days you can buy cassava even at 2 cedis. But now,
cassava at 2
I'm
cedis.
telling you the
I've
truth.
never bought that before.
cassava. Those days before MPP left power,
cassava is 2
I live
cedis.
alone. I'm not married, so I go to market myself.
Oh, I also go to the market.
Okay.
But cassava at 2 cedis there. Nah.
Okay, granted that there was no 2 cedis, but you could at least get 5 cedis to buy.
Maybe. And
It
even
is
that
not
one,
maybe.
they'll give you one.
It is. Where do you go to market?
But I buy.
Okay, I'm saying that even at Mala Market, that people think for Mala Market there is meant for rich people because of the area it is. The people that come to Mala Market to trade are the people from Makati, Dansoman, and the stuff. All right, you could get 5 cedis cassava to buy, but now if you want to buy cassava, you should have 10 cedis. Even the one they will give you, it will not be enough for you. You get it?
But if I used to do that you used to buy, was it enough for you?
It was enough then.
Hey, Mr. John.
Even if it was not, even if it wasn't enough then, all right, at least you can be given 5 cedis cassava to buy. But now you cannot get 5 cedis cassava to buy anywhere in the market. I hope you understand me. We can talk about a lot of foodstuffs. So it comes to the fact that now they are saying the economy is now stabilized and prices of food, commodities are going down. Of course, there's no doubt. But at what extent is it maintained? Is it sustained? Now, when inflation was 23% in MPP then, now we talk about food inflation and we talk about non-food inflation. Those days, they said cement was 100 cedis. The highest was at 120 cedis. So for now, cement you can get at least 90 cedis to buy in Accra here. 90 cedis to buy. Of course, we admit that. But you see, in as much as we talk about food items or food inflation, we also talk about non-food inflation because they are all drivers of the economy. But now, I want to ask, I wish my NDC colleague was here.
Unfortunately, he won't be able to join us.
Okay. I want to ask you, maybe, I mean, you are in the system, so you can maybe tell me, you listen to government projects and policies, so you can tell me what they should give me one fiscal policy that the government implemented, sustainable fiscal policy that the government has been able to implement successfully, and that brought inflation to 3%. Do you know what they did? If you want to bring inflation down, you can achieve it. But as in having impact in the life of the people matters. As to sustaining it a longer period is what matters. But what this government did was they tried to apply some programs, which of course is admissible, that will bring or dwindle inflation, but it will not have any necessary effects on the lives of Ghanaians. It will not have any necessary effects on the economy. It will not last. Do you know what they did? The government can decide to bring inflation down by using this approach. When the government decides not to spend, it can also bring inflation down. When the government decides to push a lot of money in the system, there is a way they can achieve inflation to be dwindled. Do you know what the government did? The government decided to push $10 billion into the system last year. And it suppressed the currency, therefore helping the currency to rise as against the dollar. So that is why the dollar, drastically, the CD against dollar was everywhere in town. We have arrested the dollar. The dollar has now, come down to around 11 point something. You get it? It's because they push a lot of money in the system and it suppress the currency, then making it, heavy to be able to battle with the foreign currency. So the exchange rate came down. When the exchange rate came down, it improved importation. And you see, all those people who go out to do the importation, they were happy with the government because the dollar has come down. The CD is now appreciating. But when it happens like that, do you know what happened? Prices of imported goods become very low as against locally manufactured goods. All right. As a government or as a nation, if your nation is always depending on importation, then you don't have a future. I'm telling you. But a government that is responsible will not make sure that they will apply some policies that will not have any long-term impact on the economy. Because see, that money, that's $10 billion that was just pushed into the economy just to raise sustain the economy, raise the potency of our currency against the dollar. That wasn't necessary. But they think they want praise from Ghanaians because what was moving the election in 2024 was dollar 70%, dollar was 70%. So they wanted something so extraordinary for Ghanaians to praise them. That's why they did that. But you know what? That money could have been pushed into sustaining the industries, supporting agriculture, so that food inflations will also go down. Now, there is higher food inflation simply because most of the products that we use in Ghana here have been imported. But the government is not supporting the locally, manufactured industries. The government is not supporting the local.
But how is the government not supporting them? We've seen one of the initiatives the NDC brought on board, which is the Jumeirah. Is it the Jumeirah project? I stand to be corrected. But one of the policies, where it allowed people to bring out their goods. I think it was even that the president received a handmade sandals from one of the vendors over there. So is that not a way of the government aiding these local producers to also advertise their products and also market them?
See, when you talk about sustaining economy, it is not a matter of giving the industries opportunity to do this advertisement. Of course, it's also part of it to drive the economy. But you see, when they go into production, a lot of things goes into production. These industries, before they'll be able to compete with the foreign, industries, the local industries must be supported by the government by giving them incentives. They should have a way of, when they are going into production, and the fact that aid production are very low, the prices are low, labor is low, price of labor is low, how to have access to raw materials, they are low, fuel prices are low, there's sustained electricity and power. The government is also giving subsidies. They'll be able to come out with products, and at the end of the day, the price will be low. But when you go into production and the cost of production is very high, do you think when you come out, this product, instead of selling it at least 5 cedis, that will be affordable for everybody to have access to it? Do you think you'll be able to do that? You will not sell it at 5 cedis because the cost of production was very high. You sell it as much as 10 cedis based on the cost of production. So if the government is supporting the local industries so that the cost that goes into their production to have the finished goods will be bearable, when the produce come out, at least the prices will also be low. Let's talk about agriculture. Now, they are crying that they are not having any support from the government. Agriculture input that is supposed to be given to these, farmers is no longer going. The fertilizer that was given to them then, they are not having it. The storage facilities that's supposed to come, they are not having it. All right. So when they go into their production, sometimes they suffer on their own. They go for bank loans with a heavy high interest at the interest rate. At the end of the day, when the produce come out, they need to also make sure that they price it to get their income they invested in their production. Do you understand me? But if the government is also coming to the aid, supporting them with farming inputs, agriculture, after harvesting, they get enough, they have storage facilities, the government has provided storage facilities. Do you get it? So that they will also have, a lifespan. Every time there will be food in the system. As you were talking about, the reason why tomato prices are high is because it's not in season. But how long have we sit aloof and say we only depend on seasons of product? Because when you go to other advanced countries, they know that these products or foodstuffs, those products, it comes with seasons. You get it? So they make sure that they provide silos, they provide storage facilities so that you can store some of it. Recently there was pear in the system, but because you cannot store pear for a longer period, now pear is no longer in the system.
And they are perishable goods.
They are perishable goods, but when it goes
perish.
somewhere else, they have a way of preserving it at least
how
to give.
How are they
I
preserving
cannot tell. I don't actually know about it.
but you just said that when you go to some places they have a way. So if they have a
but
way,
even,
you should know how they do it.
I am not aware how they do the preservation, but I cannot tell you for a fact that let's not use pear as a yet, but let's talk about maybe plantain or yam. You see, a time will come, you see plenty yam in the system. Within a short period of time, you no longer get it because it comes with season. And those times when during the season and they have enough place to store it, because there's no storage facilities, the farmers also just sell it so hurriedly so that they will not perish. And what they have been crying about is that because they don't have any storage facilities, when the produce comes and the market women, they go to their farms to purchase it, they give it to them at any price they want, because you don't have any option. If you don't give it at that low price, it will perish. It will get rotten. So during bumper harvest, or when during the season of the product, the farmers also suffer, and it is not encouraged. It is not making their business so encouraged, and most of the farmers are lamenting, and people are even leaving the industry. But if the government is being responsible, supporting the farmers, giving them all the things that is needed, I'm not saying that you can do it 100%, but it is expected that the government should be able to do it, just as when you go to other countries that do not have fertile land as we have. They still don't have shortage of food, and at the end of the day, prices of food product become so high that standard of living, just ordinary person cannot afford just a 3 square meal a day.
So what happened to planting for food and jobs?
Planting for food and jobs. As now, anyway, now.
What happened to planting for food and jobs?
But it was working then.
Really?
Comparing. So he thought he thought planting for food and job was not working.
How was it working? What was he able to achieve?
But during those times, the government was supporting. Fertilizer was accessible. Fertilizer were given to farmers. They get fertilizer from anywhere, from the district assemblies and the local government. But now they are crying everywhere that they don't get the fertilizer. Even if they get it, it comes at a higher cost. They get it. And these are the things that differentiate the previous governments and the current government. All right, because they have a project, they have a vision that they wanted to achieve. Because you cannot do a successful agriculture without providing fertilizers. When the government decided to build storage facilities in almost all the district assemblies or the local areas, but unfortunately could not complete all. Do you understand me? So if this government is able to continue, the planting for food and job project would have been successful. But when the government time was also truncated so shortly, and unfortunately this government has a different vision, and because that project was a elsewhere government project, when they will not continue. And this the situation we find ourselves when the previous government is doing something so successful that is beneficial to Ghanaians. Unfortunately, when the government leaves power and another one takes over, the current government refuses to continue, and that is a waste of chunk of our money.
Mr. Jan, you
Yes,
mentioned that government is not distributing fertilizers, but per report, what I have here, and this is from City, government delivers 400 bags of fertilizers to farmers, and this was in March, April, in March and also in June. So Which of them are you saying? Which of them are you referring to that
I can
government hasn't distributed fertilizers to these farmers?
I can also give you a report and a video, a vivid video. That most farmers are lamenting over lack of fertilizers for their farming product. Of course, this is a report from City, but once in a while, the government has, I believe the government is now 18 months in the office. So
this was just last month, 16th June.
I'm saying-
Government distributes fertilizers drones to farmers, 16th June. And this report was by Daniel Odro Mensah.
I'm saying that the government is now 18 months, all right? And once in a while, the government has done this, which this should have been done, consistently. Because the whole of last year, did you ever hear the government distributing fertilizers to farmers? The government didn't want to spend simply because it wanted to dwindle inflation. So the money that was supposed to be given to the local authorities, the local governments, the district assemblies, and the municipalities to purchase those, fertilizers and distribute it to the farmers were not going. So the whole of last year, the farmers were lamenting, crying everywhere that their produce are not doing well because what the previous government was doing, now this government has truncated it. Mass spraying. You see, the previous government was very successful in that. Do you see that project going on? It has been truncated because it is not part of this current government vision, and it was someone's vision. And if we rule our country like this, do we expect food inflation to always stay low? Do we expect the farmer to go and toil, suffer? Sometimes, see, when you are working and you work with passion, you enjoy the work you are doing, you will see success. But when you are working and you are not, you are stressing yourself, you are not getting any support. In fact, you are not enjoying the work you are doing, but you have to do simply because you don't have any option. At the end of the day, you not even enjoy. There was not even blessing on the job that you are doing. What I'm trying to say is that now the suffering the farmers are going through is untenable, and it's high time the government walk the talk. Right. It's high time the government walk the talk, because this government promised so much that Ghanaians were expecting something extraordinary, but what we are seeing now. It's amazing.
Right. The report that GSS is reporting on or brought out was that inflation is actually on non-food products. So that has to do with accommodation, transportation, school fees, and house rent. This is what inflation are on. And my question is, why are we seeing inflation on these four things that I've mentioned? The house rent, accommodations such as the hotels, school fees, and also transportation fare. Because even now, during this morning, during our news review, one of the ladies mentioned that they have not announced that transportation fares are up, but the monies that we pay is even more than if they say that transportation fares are up. Because if you are supposed to get to the house, if you are coming from La Paz to Ablekuma or to Anya here, it's 5 cedis. But now they'll tell you that La Paz to Ablekuma straight is 10 cedis. Meanwhile, you are light on the way. So that alone is killing the individual. Why are we seeing that?
Okay. What the government is doing, just as I said earlier, that they didn't, implement any sustainable policy that will cut across and dwindle, inflation and cut across. All right. When you have a sustainable policy or program that you are applying or rolling it out and it is bringing inflation down, it will cut across. See, the government decided that they will push this money into the system, focusing only one aspect, The aspect they were focusing was that they want dollar to come down. And because all this money that they pushed, $10 billion they pushed into the system, was focusing on the fact that they want the CD to be able to compete with the dollar, so that the CD will appreciate. And when you do that, you are only supporting importation, leaving the local produce behind. Now you are talking about, let me situate my argument straightly on what you are saying. Prices of transportation is very high, rent is very high. Now when you come down here, they said fuel prices are low. Okay, they have been touting it that we should clap for them because they have brought fuel from 17. That was even 17. Where that was around early 2024. But when MPP was leaving power in 2025 January, fuel was around 14 cedis. Do you get it? Yes. So the MPP was doing something. Now, when they came, they said dollar has come down, and the reason why fuel price was very high in the elsewhere administration was because the dollar was high, was around 17%. So now they have brought dollar to 12 cedis. Around 12 cedis.
11 cedis,
11
43
cedis.
pesos.
Okay, that's fine. Clap for them. But what impact is it having on the fuel? If during when dollar was 17 cedis, we buy fuel around 16 cedis. Okay, now their dollar is, when Akufo-Addo was leaving power, the dollar was 14 cedis. We were buying a liter of petrol 14 cedis. Now you have brought dollar to 11 cedis. Inflation is hovering around 3%. During MPP time, when we were buying a liter of petrol 14 cedis, inflation was 23%. Now, what's the correlation? What is the impact of you bringing the inflation from 23 to 3%? What is the impact of you bringing dollar from 17 to 11 cedis, and still fuel is 14 cedis? When MPP time, fuel was 14 cedis, dollar was 14 cedis, inflation was 23%. Now, what have you achieved? If this is sustainable, and if this is reasonable, this so-called statistics is reasonable, this so-called inflation that is around 3%, now 5%, if it is reasonable and it tally with reality, at least we shouldn't have been buying fuel around 14 cedis. Because when the dollar was 14 cedis, we were buying fuel at 14 cedis. Inflation was 23. I don't know whether you understand the statistics. So it doesn't make sense. And it tells you that if we admit the truth, it tells you that what they are doing is just a fallacy. It's just cosmetic thing. It is just something on the paper. It doesn't reflect the reality. It doesn't reflect the reality, because this government, the PR is they are so much interested in the PR instead of sit up, do the work, and let the Ghanaians feel the impact of the work that they are doing. They always want to do something to receive praise that does not have any necessary impact on the life of Ghanaians. I hope you understand me.
Yeah.
Now, you said inflation is low, exchange rate is low, dollar is low, fuel is low. Now, they claim cement prices have come down. But see, the rent, as you talk about, is always skyrocketing. The cost of rent is always rising. But why our dollar is low, why our fuel price is low, why our inflation is low, but our rent is also not moving in power with all those statistics? Do you understand me? Now, transportation, when MPP was in power, fuel price was hovering around 17 cedis. It came down to 14 cedis. When MPP was in power, even inflation shot up to a level of around 43%.
Maybe 50.
All right, that's fine. Okay, and inflation came to 23. Dollar was around 14 cedis. CD was around 14 CD before people left power. But before in 2025 or in 2024, when you are going to Kumasi, it was 120 CDs. VIP. But now when you are going to Kumasi, it's a double of the price.
How much is it now? I'm not sure it's a double of.
Even if it's not double, it has been, the increment is about around 80%. And is it reasonable? Is it reasonable? When somebody was facing all this trouble, he made sure that, he stabilized the price. Now you have dwindled all these indications or indicators to a level that, of course, it is appreciable. But we are not seeing its impact on the life of Ghanaians. At least transportation from Accra to Kumasi should have been where it is now. Talking about the fact that you have reduced fuel prices, talking about the fact that dollar has come down, talking about the fact that inflation is low. Why are we not seeing the prices of those non-food items also going down? Why our rents are always increasing? Is it because our landlords are being inhumane? Is it because they are not reasonable? Even if they decide to be inhumane, what is causing that? They feel that when they go to market, they buy food items, the prices are always skyrocketing. You carry a lot of money, you go to market, you get just a small amount of food items. I hope you get me.
Yeah.
So they also make sure that they get what they want to be able to accommodate their family. I'm not saying what they are doing is right, but if the government is being sensitive and thinking about the plight of Ghanaians, I think we will all be reasonable and move along with the government.
So what do you think that at this juncture, especially when it comes to rent is very, very, very quite expensive in Accra, and it's really demanding and killing people slowly, because the rent you are paying is even more than your salary if they should combine it a year, and the landlord is taking 1 year, 2 years for that. Looking at that aspect, what do you think the government can do? Because we've seen the rent control also moving from, they've started with the universities. They're moving from hostel to hostels, trying to advocate and lobby for rent to be reduced for these people. Is that enough action?
I remember I said earlier that laws were made to check man, actions of man. All right. So the one in whose bosom the law lies, or the one who made the law, if he decides to break it himself, why do you expect the ordinary person to also, live by the law? I hope you understand what I'm saying. So if those who made the law are they themselves treating it with disdain, with no respect to the law, you don't expect the ordinary Ghanaian to also go by the law. What I'm trying to say is that this rent control thing that you are talking about, since when did they exist? Have they not been existing all this while? What impact are they making? Meanwhile, they are taking a chunk of our budget. You see, we live in a society where people are paid without working. We live in a society because Ghanaians are very soft. Because Ghanaians, we don't like trouble. So instead of us to speak out, instead of us to vent our frustration on our leaders to sit up and do the right thing, we decide to sit. And when during elections, we use our kokomoti, our tongue to speak. But if we continue to do that, our politicians will take us for right. Our leaders will take us for right. You go to government agencies and institutions, a lot of government agencies and institutions must be scrapped out because they are not working. They are ineffective. They are not supposed to be there where they are, spending a lot of taxpayers' money.
So you think they are not working, so they should be taken out? I'm
telling you, absolutely. Most of the institutions and agencies are not necessary. Talk about this rent control. What is their modus operandi? What is their responsibility? They are supposed to be on the side of the ordinary Ghanaian and the ordinary citizen. But when the prices of rent are going up, you go to rent control, you will not have any necessary support. at the end of the day, if you are not careful, they will even create problem between you and your landlord or landlady. Do you get it? So the institutions are not on the side of the ordinary person. And corruption is very high to the extent that you have a problem, you have an issue with your landlord, you report it at the rent control. If you are not careful, a staff at the rent control will take something from the landlord and stand against you. I'm telling you the truth. I know what I'm talking about.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
So now, because the government system is not working, everybody else have also pretend to be working. If the government
but at least we've seen that the efforts that the rent control authority is doing is yielding some sort of
I'm for rent
results.
control. I don't even talk their matter.
Why? At least
One
we've
of-
seen that it's yielding results.
One of most ineffective institutions that I've ever seen.
Yeah, so
And and the least talk about them, the better.
the better.
I'm telling you.
I get it. Right from the previous administration even till now. But I think this current one is doing well. Unlike the previous administration, we didn't even know they existed.
If they are working now, that's why I asked you, where were they? When was
There's
when,
a change of government, so there's a change of people as well.
See, that's why I'm saying that this government, all that they want and all that they are aiming to do is to do PR.
But they are working.
Is to do PR.
But they are working.
Is to do PR.
They are working, but they are publicizing it to make you know that this is what we are doing. Is that it?
If they are working,
or they are not working and they are publicizing that they are working.
See, you are here working.
Mhm.
People are listening to you. The impact of your work is being felt.
Yeah.
So if rent control is working and they have been publicizing it and they are telling us that they are working, what is the impact of their work in the ordinary Ghanaian or in the people that they claim they are working for? Just as I have situated that you are working, people are listening to you. They are getting a feel of the work that you are doing. So what is the impact of the rent control in our lives? A lot of people are suffering from rent issues. And the rent control that's supposed to be with the tenant, they always go on the side of the landlord because they have the money to pay. Do you understand me? But me, I'm not surprised. If the main head is rotten, the whole body will also not survive. The reason why I'm saying that is that the government itself is rotten. The government itself doesn't know what it's doing. The government itself, he doesn't know it's left from the right. All that is interested to do is to do propaganda. All that is interested to do is to sit and publish anything
so
at
in
all
actual
for
sense,
Ghanaians
what
to
you
praise
are
them.
saying is that this current administration, they are not doing anything. Is it because you are affiliated to a political party, or you are speaking honestly?
Sometimes I try not to be, not to be so sentimental or politicize everything. But the fact is that Ghanaians, I'm not saying that simply because I am an MPP, but Ghanaians are saying that they are asking questions. Just as we have been talking about this inflation issue, just as we are talking about the statistics, just as that we have been talking about all this. What is its impact? If you are working, somebody should feel the impact of it. We have talked about flood. The impact is not feeling. That's why we are suffering. We have talked about so many things that the people or the Ghanaians are suffering and they are complaining. So if I say the government is not working, I know what I'm talking about. As a president, when your people have been devastated with such a heavy issue, instead of you to go and console or commiserate with them, you just sit, fly in the air and waving them, using your phone to take pictures of the affected areas. Is that what a leader should do? Meanwhile, the opposition
So
leader,
he shouldn't go for an aerial visit to see, because if you're on the ground, how would you see how massive it is rather than you staying on top? Don't you see it better when you're on top?
it is never true.
Hey.
No, it is never true. Okay, granted, of course, when you fly in the air, you'll be able to cover a very vast area.
Of course.
But the visibility.
So that is equally needed, and it's not like they've not put any measures in place. Government has disbursed 350 million Ghana cedis to provide relief for these flood victims. And from the way you're talking, you make it look as if since this situation or since this flood happened, we have not seen any action from the government. But that is not the case.
You see, I'm laughing.
Why are you laughing?
This government has donated this. Government has promised this. Remember that we are dealing with the NDC government too. They can promise you they will come to the public and do the PR.
But we've seen the Accra regional minister distributing the mattress and food items to people. So it's not like they said it and they are not doing it.
See,
haven't you seen the videos?
I have also seen.
So why are you talking as if they promise and then they are not doing it?
I have also seen a church, just a small church in my area, also going around distributing mattress and food.
But I have seen the Accra regional minister distributing money on behalf of the government. Not money, but distributing relief items, mattresses and all of that. I've also seen from Baumia also. So
you say you have seen from
Baumia?
Baumia?
I've seen from Baumia. I've seen from
that's perfect.
Current
you see, after Dr. Baumia visited the affected areas physically, walking in the mud, even to the extent of falling and other stuff.
He fell?
The danger in it. All right, going all these places, it's not even safe for him. But because he had passion for the people, because he loved the people, because that is who he is, he feel that he's equal with the people. But talk about the president who claimed that I care for you, who claimed that he's the father for the people or the father of all Ghanaians. He was flying in the air. He didn't come to shake hands with affected ones. He didn't come to the ground to see the level of the devastation.
Has your MP visited your house?
Never. I've never seen him.
You've not seen Ahmed?
Ahmed is not my MP.
He's not your MP.
Yes, my MP is a Rabna. Yes.
You've never seen him before.
I've never.
You've never seen her before.
I have never seen her.
Hey, so you didn't see a Rabna fixing the light at Mangwase?
Oh, that.
Hey,
you see
people.
Let me tell you one thing. That's fine, but see that project.
Oh, don't do that.
You know,
don't do that. Don't do that. You said you haven't seen her. She's not doing anything.
We are talking about.
No, he said she's not doing.
I thought we were asking during the flood. After
even
the flood,
when it flooded at Dansoman Junction, we saw that she brought a heap of sand to come and fill that area. You didn't see that one too.
You are saying it.
Okay. Continue with the propaganda.
As now. See, far be from me that I'll do propaganda over here because Ghanaians are listening. My pastor,
of course.
My pastor is even
but
you
are speaking for your party.
My pastor is even listening to me. All right. So if I lie, when I go, he will tell me that unless you lied.
Then
I've taught you not to lie.
Tell him the truth.
But I'm saying that
if
I've seen my MP Arabna, I'll not sit here and tell you that I never saw her. I haven't seen. We were even
not even videos.
I've seen her videos.
Not even in any. So you've seen it?
No, that was when the Ghana Highway Authority fixed the traffic light, and she went there to take pictures and videos as MP. Of course, it is within her jurisdiction, her constituency. So if the Ghana Highway have done that and she goes there to do that, why won't you give, the credit to the Ghana Highway Authority, but behaving as if it was done by the MP? I hope you understand me. You see, we were even talking about this flood. Abrikmanov, a part of Abrikmanov got flooded. I haven't seen my MP. If she had gone
but you mentioned you were at Makati, so I'm wondering which part of Makati. Because Abrikmanov, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
I live at Makati, but my votes, I do everything in Abrikmanov. That is where I do everything.
All right, this is still the GhanaTalks breakfast show right here on GhanaTalks Radio. Remember that you're streaming live on Facebook at GhanaTalks Radio, on YouTube at GhanaTalks Radio, and also on X at GhanaTalks Radio. It's getting very interesting right here in the studios with Mr. Alex Chan. Right. So I think at this point we can move on to our next topic. That happens to be the xenophobic attacks happening in South Africa, and also the immigrant protest, which has claimed one Ghanaian life. We've heard from the minister; they've condemned the act, and they are also calling on diplomatic call to, come up and do something. But we haven't heard from the authorities in South Africa. Does that tell us, or does that give the green light that they're indulging what the people are doing? Because listening to their president yesterday in an interview, he mentioned that the people have the right to protest, and from him, looking at how things are going, they are having a peaceful protest that is sacking or telling those immigrants in their illegal immigrants in their country to leave the country. Not even illegal, because even the legal ones, they're even sacking the legal ones. So as it stands now, we don't even know what the South Africans want. Yeah. What's your reading into this?
Well, as for South Africa, I think I don't want to say the least talk about them the better. South Africa is taking a bad name for itself when it comes to xenophobic activities and attacks, and it's time that they realize that they are not living on an island, or they are not living in an isolation. When we talk about Africa, do you get it?
Yeah.
So they should make sure that, in as much as if they don't see themselves as Africans, then they should move out of our continent. You are looking at me. If they don't see themselves as African, they should leave
the African continent.
The African continent, because their action is becoming too much.
Yeah.
See, the Bible said, if it is possible, live in peace with all men. Okay?
Yeah.
So I will entreat the South African government and the people that they are African, no matter who they think they are. If they see themselves as white, then they should go to either Europe or they should go to America, or wherever they think it will be better for them. But so long as they continue to remain on the soil of Africa, they are Africans, so they should accommodate. Do you get it? Why are they doing that? Do they want to tell us that some South Africans nationals are not in Ghana or are not in other parts of African countries? Even if they claim, or even they believe that some of their nationals are not in the other countries in the African continent, when they go to Europe, don't they have their nationals over there? When they go to America and some other part of the globe, don't they have their nationals over there? Have they been more treated as they are doing? Now, what is their issue? What is their claim? They claim the foreign nationals are taking over their jobs. And is that so? You see, I listened to one interview, and the fact was that, or what I realized was that, they are not telling us the truth. It is not because the foreign, the other African nationals over there or the undocumented immigrants are taking over their jobs. I heard that those guys over there, they are very lazy.
Yeah.
They don't want to work.
I saw that. And they have the highest unemployment rating.
Exactly.
In the whole of the world.
And the crime rate as well.
Yeah.
So that's why South Africa is taking a bad name for itself. And it's high time they should put a stop to all these things. The youth over there, they don't like working. And because they don't like to work, they don't have money. And if you are not working, how would you get money? If you don't have work and you don't have money, do you think you get a woman to live by you? So the women are also not going in for
them.
For them.
Because of their laziness.
Because of their laziness. Because no woman is willing to live with a man who is lazy.
Of course.
How will you be able to take care of her and the family? So they are realizing that the foreign nationals are taking over their women, it is taking over the women, not rather job. Do you get it? So what I expect the government, Ramaphosa, the president, to do is not pamper these people. The way he's talking, look as if He's pampering them.
Yeah, and it looks as if he's actually excited
yes,
about it.
All right. Though he come and polish his statement, but deep down his heart, you could see that he's in support of what is going on. But it shouldn't be so. Then on this note, I'll call the AU. On this note, I'll call the AU to act, because South Africa is also a member of AU, and it is high time they place a sanction on them.
Yeah.
Because just as I said, we are all living in Africa. You're on the continent of Africa. You are not living in Europe. You are not American. You are not anywhere. So if you think, you cannot accommodate your other national, then move out. You should tell his people to change their mindset and begin to work. Because if I move out of Ghana to Nigeria, the way I see comfort in my own country, I'll not go and see those comfort over there. I'll do hard work to make sure that I get money and come back to see my family. So in as much as the foreign nationals over there are looking for work to do and they are active, it is expected that those guys should also compete with them. Do you understand me? Instead of telling them to leave and leave the job behind, so you'll be able to do. Even if they leave and leave the job behind and you are still lazy, you will not work. You will not get money. I hope you understand me.
Yeah.
So they should change their mindset from 3 decades ago when we experienced apartheid, regime. I don't know whether they still want to go back to that regime.
Now it's getting even more violent than it is before, hearing that they have killed one Ghanaian there. What do you think that as a country or even the presidents can do to intervene on behalf of Ghanaians there? Or the best thing we can do is just to evacuate these people?
Okay, some couple of Ghanaians have already been evacuated.
Yes,
and still a chunk are there.
Yes. Yes, and they are set to be evacuated next week. Hearing from the High Commissioner of...
I think this evacuation will not solve the problem.
Will not solve the problem.
Of course, safety first.
Because some people are still not willing to come back.
Yes. This evacuation is not what will solve the problem.
So what will solve the problem?
You see, there should be a deliberate attempt to sit with Ramaphosa and those who matters to talk about this issue and let peace reign.
Right.
Because no matter what, there are South Africans living in Ghana here.
And even businesses.
You get it? So if Ghanaians also start retaliating, what will be the case? So it is not a matter of evacuating. If we should evacuate all Ghanaians living in South Africa, and we say we are going to do the same thing, and if you are not careful, it will get to that end. And not only Ghana will start that, all other African countries will also make sure that they will evacuate, they will tell South Africans living in their country to move out. And if it happens like that, what society are we building ourselves? So Ramaphosa should be like, a responsible father and stop pampering them. If you allow... Of course, he says that people have the right to demonstrate. But in as much as you have the right to demonstrate, doesn't mean you also have the right to commit crime, assault your neighbor, to the extent that you take the person's life. And if the laws over there are working and they start arresting, prosecuting all those perpetrators, I think they will stop. But they look as if now they have been given that opportunity to do their so-called peaceful demonstration. A peaceful demonstration that has resulted in people dying. Is it a peaceful demonstration? It is not something that must be accepted. It is not something that must be accepted. So I believe, our foreign, affairs, minister has done, his part. But it's high time the president should also take the lead, sit with Ramaphosa, and see how things can be solved. Because this is not acceptable. It shouldn't be. If it continues like that, I'm afraid some other Africans will also try to retaliate.
Will also try to retaliate.
Yes.
Would you say that the diplomatic course have failed us? Because as it stands now, still we haven't heard or seen any reports that they are calling them to action.
Certainly, that's why I was saying I'm disappointed in AU. Because if this is an organization that you have established to take care of, all Africans, and matters of these things are going on, we are not hearing anything from them. All right, where is their chairman, Burundi president, who is the chairman of AU? What is he doing? We haven't heard anything, any report. As far as I'm concerned, I've never read any report from them. AU has not spoken. So why are they sitting aloof? Are they afraid of South Africa, or do they see South Africans as not part of Africa, or what? It's hard time they sit up. They have failed, of course. They have failed because as a leader, this is why you were elected as a leader. You were not just elected to come and sit in the comfort of your seat and call yourself, I'm a chairman of AU. You were called, or you were elected as a leader to come and solve problems, and these are part of the problem that's supposed to be solved.
These are some of the problems that need to be solved. Wherever you are, if you're a Ghanaian and you're in South Africa, just as it's been said already, that make sure you're safe, stay indoors, and don't open your shop or get into any business, because your life matters. Because as things are, it's getting intense and it's escalating. So make sure you are safe wherever you are. We are just hoping that in the coming days we hear something from the diplomatic corps. We've seen the foreign affairs minister doing what it takes to make sure that the rest of the people there are being evacuated safely into our country. Well, I think that'll be all. You've spoken a lot, and I really enjoyed myself right on the show.
I also enjoyed.
Thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for joining us. Do you have any last words before we leave?
Well, I'll thank you for the opportunity, and also thank your listeners, and I appreciate that. But before I sign out, I'll plead with the people of Abrikmanov, my MPP people, especially the delegates of Abrikmanov, to, as they go to the polls to elect their leaders, I am willing that they would elect some leaders that are very responsible and are willing to work for the party. At least we know some of the leaders. I know of our constituency chairman who is also seeking re-election, Chairman Bido. He's a very serious gentleman. I plead with delegate to vote for him. I am also calling on delegate to remember my own friend, a DMPP. He's going for communication director. That guy is a solid guy when it comes to communication. So they should remember him. Conrad Selby, a youth organizer, deputy, that guy is so, very active. When he was a deputy, he worked everything out in Abrikmanov, and now he's seeking to be the substantive, youth organizer, and I know he can do that. That guy is so dedicated, and I'm praying that the team Unity have selected, they should vote for them. Or Abrikmanov, we need Unity to be able to recapture the seat that has slipped off our hand to NDC. So this is the time we need to come together and select leaders who are willing and prepared to lead us to recapture our
lead
seat.
the team.
Yeah.
Then you have a lot of work to do.
Of course.
We are wishing you the best in the election, in the coming election. To all those contestants, we are wishing you all the best. May the best man win. Thank you so much for joining us on the GhanaTalks Breakfast Show. This has been your morning companion, and this is where we draw the curtains, and this is where we take leave of you. We'll meet same time next week. Do have a lovely week.